It is time to break some ties here in the China Division 2. Hello and welcome to the stream. My name is Nomad. Joining me, we've got Fluke and Lizard as we jump into this three-way tie between Meteor Gaming, Poke Gaming, and Team Cloud. These three teams are currently all stuck at the 5th, 6th, and 7th position, which means they're now going to play it out to figure out who is going to be going home. Well, not really going home because, we're playing online anyway, but, gonna be at home and feel sad rather than being at home and feel like, we did all right. Lizard, how you doing? It's a nice time for you?
Yeah, it's amazing time. It's 4 a.m. I slept around 3 hours, maybe a little bit less, so feeling good, feeling great. Like, who needs sleep after all when we can watch some good old relegation grudge matches? Let's go. That's what matters.
Some good old relegation matches. Yes, watch some people suffer.
Exactly.
And try to avoid
if I can't sleep, people can suffer as well. But no, for real, like we've been watching this Division 2 for a month, so it's nice to be there for the conclusion of everything, to see which teams are gonna stay in, because like it's interesting. All of these teams have at times shown that they can take the strongest of the region, or the upper part of the region at least. Like, they could win games versus teams that were considered favorites. So all of them have what it takes to stay in. Unfortunately, someone has to leave.
Someone has to go. Yes, it has been kind of bittersweet as we've watched these teams grow, but how did we get here? Well, I mean, there's been like 2 weeks of gameplay, 2.5 weeks of gameplay so far. So, if you don't know that by now, then no, I don't know what you're doing here. But hey, at least we've got this recap video to catch you slow ones up to speed. This was the first game we had yesterday, which was Poke versus Outsiders from China, where Poke actually put up a pretty good fight, Fluke.
Yeah, they were able to take a game off of Outsiders, who finished 3rd in the region, so pretty good shout for them, especially going in towards these tiebreakers where they need to make sure that they win 2 best-of-1s to be able to stay in the region and finish the highest place they possibly can. Unfortunately for them in this game number 1, the draft really kind of let them down. They picked Storm Spirit into some very hard Storm Spirit counters, and it really did not pan out all too well for them. But in game number 2, they had a really interesting idea with this Shadow Demon to have save against this Ricky and Marana. They got given the Lina once again. They played it relatively well. Outsiders almost were able to outplay them in certain points, but it just got to latter stages of the game where this CK really didn't have the effect they were hoping to. They really were able to shut down Echoes on this Storm Spirit as well, and he wasn't able to have the kind of impact that he wanted. So Poke did a good job to get that second game underneath their belt and have potential for them to not be in the tiebreakers, because if they won this series, then they would have been okay when it came to the tiebreakers. But unfortunately for them, Outsiders decided to pick their socks up and get that one done in 3.
Yeah, it was kind of a must-win for Outsiders if they wanted to stand any chance of qualifying for Division 1. There was a hope if they did beat Poke, that if Vici lost their series versus Meteor, then they would still be able to play a tiebreaker for Division 1. So you want to keep that hope alive, no matter how slim it may be. But alas, that did not end up happening. But yeah, this was the 3rd and final game, and I think in this one especially, it was. It never felt like Poke were getting into it. This was really Outsiders playing at their like 100%, Lizard.
Yeah, the last one was Outsiders just dominating completely. They went with this super aggro kind of a lineup. They just ran over Poke. They never had a chance. 25-8, 30k like net worth lead. 25 minutes in?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and it's usually how it looks like if the drafts are evenish. That second draft is just completely failed for Outsiders.
Yep, did not work. Now we move on to our second series of the day. This was LBZS versus YBB. And in the series, YBB, well, they were looking to make a statement. They wanted to take that top spot with 0 series losses, and they wanted to do it in style. And unfortunately, LBZS were on the receiving end of this YBB style flick.
Yeah, YBB definitely came in to make a statement. We talked about it a lot throughout the broadcast about, going in towards Division 1, the fact that they were able to secure it a few days ago, and then coming into this final series, there wasn't really all too much on the line for either one of these two teams. LBZ are still going to be staying in Division 2, and YBB had already secured their slot into Division 1, but going up into Division 1 and showing that you only lost a single game to Vici, who is another extremely strong team here in Division 2, just goes to show that YBB moving up into Division 1, I think their aspirations are going to be, aiming towards the middle section of Division 1 and hopefully seeing if they can get a major berth when it comes to Tour 2. But, they finished it off the same way that they started. Extremely fast fashion, 20-odd minute games, showing that they are, more than happy to play a lot of this weird and gross stuff with the Huskar last pick in their second game as well. And, yeah, YBB really showing that they're a very, very strong team here in Division 2, and I'm excited to see what they do in Div 1.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys have long future, hopefully, ahead of them, at least this year, with their promotion into Div 1. OBZS, not so lucky. They'll be sitting in the middle.
Imagine picking Huskar and Brood as your last game of the season. Like, they should have went first game Meepo and Arc Warden, if they knew they could win with that, and then Huskar Brood. You prepared the drafters, the coaches, for the next season. When they start preparing against you, they go through your games and they're like, God damn, we're never...
These guys are filth.
Like, we did that a couple of times in some tournaments, and it works. Trust me. It damn works.
Putting fear into people is always a sound strategy when it comes to Dota 2, especially drafting. And now we have our final series. This was Vici versus Meteor, another of the teams we're going to be seeing today in this tiebreaker. Meteor, fortunately, did not stand up to the pressure which Vici were putting upon them. And in game number 1, they gave them Nature's Prophet, which, this team just plays so damn well. Very, very hard to play against. And, we also have had, a lot of just fun moments coming out from Vici. This was a fun series.
Yeah, and I think also an honourable mention in there for Blessing. I think the way that he played up against Setsu, especially in that first game, he really bullied that Pangolier on the Conquer. So I think it's a good shout for them moving forward into these tiebreakers. The fact that they have to win 2 best of ones, if they can pull out something like a Kunkka that can really dominate a lot of these melee mid laners, then Blessing is going to look like a pretty strong and pivotal player for them moving forward. But at the end of the day, it's Vici playing to make sure that they don't have to play tiebreakers. So they had everything to play for here in this final series, and once again, just showing that they are a very, very strong team and not wanting to put anything to chance in those tiebreakers to get into Division 1.
Yeah, and Setsu having an absolutely phenomenal game on this Queen of Pain in this game as well. I think we went 24-2 or something in this one. Absolute domination, just playing really, really nice.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for me. I wasn't on the panel. I only worked the first and the second series. But I made sure to watch Nomad's beautiful face from the chairlift. I was on the chairlift on the mountain.
All right.
But I opened up the stream. I looked at Nomad. I showed him to some random dude that was going up the mountain with me. He's like, yeah, that's my host. That's my host.
That's my boy right there.
That's my dude's like, what does that even mean?
Please leave me alone. I just want to ski. And this is how the standings look after yesterday's games. And as you can see, 5, 6, and 7, 2 and 5, all the way down. We will be saying goodbye to Mystique, and we'll be saying hello to YBB and Vici Gaming up in Division 1. Now, this is a schedule we've got going today. It is Poke versus Cloud to start things off. So, I think we got... Wait, which of you gave me your thoughts? It's such a long time ago. Which of you already gave me your thoughts on the best of 1 tiebreakers? Sorry.
Have we both done it, Lizard, or
I think we both did it. Nomad, next question.
Oh, we're done then. Should we just sit and wait for the draft?
Ask me a math question. Go.
What is 18 minus 3?
15.
What is...
This guy's good. This guy's good. Wow.
You know the irrational sign I, Fluke?
Yeah.
What's I powered by I?
I don't know. Next question.
It's not that good. The man bleeds.
Not that good.
Sad.
I'm fast. It's not that good, though.
Who's going to win the major, by the way, Lizard?
Who's gonna win the major?
Yeah, real quick.
Liquid. Most
Okay,
likely.
cool.
I was gonna say Liquid.
Okay, you take Liquid. Fluke, I'll take something
No,
else.
Lizard, you said it first. You can have it.
No, you have it.
I'm gonna go with Shopify. I'm gonna back my boys.
I think
Yeah,
Bad Boom-
I'm staying with Liquid.
I think Bad Boom is very good. Wow, stats, comparisons,
Either way.
cool. These guys like Tusk, hey.
Yeah, I think every team. So Tusk is the most contested hero in Division 2 for China so far. He has a decent win rate in comparison to some of the other heroes. Actually, he's the most picked hero. I
was gonna say, I was about to throw you down
the Death
there,
Prophet
boy.
is most contested.
What?
But either way, he's the most picked hero in Division
I think
2
that's
so
still
far with
most
52% win rate. So it's not too bad that both these teams. It's not too surprising that both these two teams do like the Tusk, and I think both these teams are going to rely on something like a Tusk to give them a lot of tempo as well.
Did you guys see the announcement of an announcement for the
March 6th.
March 6th?
They're going to reveal.
They're gonna reveal Lina will be nerfed. Nice.
We have a date. Where she will no longer be in our pubs. I can't come soon enough. Alrighty, let's get into this draft. And it's now time for the first match on this tiebreaker series. And we have Poke Gaming versus Team Cloud on the cards. Broodmother and Morana is going to be the opening from Poke Gaming. Meanwhile, Team Cloud, they're going to grab their Broodmother. They're going to grab their Dawnbreaker and their Death Prophet. We've seen this quite a lot, the Dawn as an answer to the Brood, but I'm yet to be really convinced by it, Lizard.
Yeah, me too. Me as well. Like I don't love it, but Dawn and DP, like they're kind of nice together. Like you have this hero that gets on top of Dawn, saves her, heals her up a little bit. There's a lot of utility. It's easier to push with the DP when you have a Dawn. So overall, I don't mind the opener that much for Team Cloud. I just don't like Dawn into Brood like an answer. Like I completely agree with you. So far, we haven't seen it work, which doesn't mean it cannot work. It's just that so far it didn't, right? Like the teams that have tried pulling it off, they didn't succeed.
I think it could be a combination of a few things, right? Where it's like when you see these counters to certain heroes, like Broodmother, I think you have to have a way of dealing with her spiders at some point in the game. Like if you don't have like any wave clear, then she will just permanently take over the game. But that's not the main reason why that you pick Brood, right? Like you pick her because she's a lane dominator. She can pick up all these auras. She can float around the map and be very, very hard to kill. And I think that's the main thing that a lot of these teams aren't able to do into the Broodmother. I would have liked to have seen Team Cloud go for what we saw from Vici yesterday, where they just insta-picked Sam into Pudge. To be fair, they did have first pick, so it was one of those things where Team Cloud wanted the Death Prophet over the top of a Broodmother, and then Poke just answered with the Brood plus the Morana, so they didn't have that like CM Pudge instant response. But I mean, at the end of the day, Pudge still hasn't been banned, so I wouldn't hate to see it coming in from Team Cloud. Maybe that lane with the Dawnbreaker could be a little weird for them, but I mean, you can always flex a lot of these heroes. DP and Dawnbreaker have been flexible in the past.
Bruh, Shadow Demon Mirana, 2013. Let's go. Disruption into Arrow. Nice.
Jeez. Every team is playing with a substitute, by the way. That is insane.
Oh yeah, they are too.
Yeah.
It's so annoying that I talked about Blessing, and now Blessing's not playing today. That makes me feel sad.
Unlucky, bro.
But
It's-
with that, then, this is the same team that had played against Poke when they had that disconnect, right? Like, they have Andy back in, who was one of the dominant reasons why they were winning that game number 2 versus Poke on the Slark.
Yeah, true. He did well. Yeah, so Meteor are swapping out their mid laner, Blessing for Scar. Poke are swapping out their mid laner. That'll be V for small KK, but that's something they've been doing for the past couple of games, past couple of series. And then, Cloud, they're swapping out and Andy for, Ice Limit for Andy. So we got ourselves this Shadow Demon and the Void, Face the Void to answer it, and now the Tiny comes out from Team Cloud as well. So very hard carries coming out from both teams.
Yep, the Morphling already and the Void already. Like, this matchup can go either way. Like, Void can pop off and be the one that actually wins it later on. But so can Morphling. Like, Morphling gets an earlier Manta, turns into Void, uses time dilation against him. like, or Void gets a Skadi really fast after Mjolnir and just destroys every time he's on top of Morph. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. Like the co-op ban, I guess they're just banning all these heroes that have a lot of burst damage and can't deal damage in the Chronosphere. That's pretty much all there is to it. OD, Zeus, and co-op, all three of them Morphling destroyers pretty much, and also deal a ton of damage in the Chrono. And thank God, like, what the hell, like, this whole Division 2, I think I've seen one Enigma so far in the games that I've watched.
It's been crazy.
Like, the hero is still busted, hello. Anyone
actually.
home? Enigma is good.
This is our first Enigma in Division 2.
There's been 2 bans.
Yep.
Okay.
That is
It's
wild.
like, there's so much Slark being picked in Division 2, and then teams are answering with the offlane, and they're like, Tide
If only there was a
Hunter?
hero that could deal with the Slark right now.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it isn't a hero that every offlaner plays, but it's definitely a hero that every offlaner should be able to play, in my opinion.
And I think it just makes it a lot easier for you to, like, he's a natural aura builder, you know, with the Guardian Greaves, you can go Blink BKB as well. And, you know, it's always, a lot of people talk about the threat of the black hole. It's not so much about the black holes, but it just forces you to play a little bit differently, right? And if you ever do have that mental slip of, oh, you know, we've got 2 or 3 cores that are standing next to each other and you get black hole, that's all it takes is one big team fight where you kill 2 cores at once. And then the game can flip on its head, especially with a volatile carry matchup with, like, the Void versus the Morphling. Right? Like, if the Void ever gets caught into a black hole, the Morphling's able to stand there and deliver, then it makes it hard for Poke.
Yeah, so is this like DP mid, Morph safe lane, and Enigma offlane? Is that what we're seeing? Probably, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. For
This will be
Poke,
the case.
right now, the thing is, like, you have a Void, so when you're playing into an Enigma usually is the ultimate carry, no matter...
Yes.
Ultimate win condition, no matter what. But versus a Void, it can be kind of rough because if l'enfer says les autres, if he saves the chrono, like CSJ perhaps will not be the happiest Enigma is. You black hole, you get chronoed afterwards. Plus they have Shadow Demon to save people in the black hole a little bit. We'll see.
So we're going to see a bit of a showdown, a bit of a match of chicken, which comes first, the black hole or the chronosphere. We shall see. Game number 1 between Poke and Cloud. I mean, I want to know who you think is going to win this game based on the draft, and also I want to know who you think is going to be the 1, 2, 3. Starting with you, Lizard.
Let's wait at least for the first series for me to call out the 1, 2, 3. But I think CSJ Enigma. Like I'm looking. I'm looking forward to CSJ Enigma taking a game. This guy on offlane carries his team, so they gave him a hero that can carry. I'm gonna go with my boy.
Alrighty, a vote for Team Cloud from Lizard. What about you, Fluke?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Team Cloud as well. The way Butterfly Effect played the Death Prophet in their previous series up against LBZS really showed that he is a star player for them. And as Liz has said, CSJ is on a hero that is a win condition for them in the offlane. So Team Cloud, let's go.
All right, I'm going Team Cloud as well because I think they're going to be the top team out of these 3. I think it's going to be Cloud and then Meteor and then Poke. And that's my thoughts. So let's see how they do. Game number 1 of these tiebreakers between 3 teams, all best of 1 start right here, right now with Danok and Ares.
He's been, here we go. We're back. We've got our best of 1 tiebreakers, which is going to be exciting. And we get to see the panel saying they all favoring Team Cloud. We've heard that Nomad so far through the entirety of the season. He's been a big Team Cloud fanboy, so there's real no surprise he's favoring them.
Hold on, though.
Hang on.
5 on 5.
Hey, what's going on here? 5 on 5 before the Horn and Butterfly Effect. This is not how you're hoping to start your tiebreakers, as Andy's going to go down as well. So, all right, panel, what's going on?
I mean, I think you're generally pretty happy with that on Poke if you're able to get a couple of quick kills. And Well, like Lizard said, Lenfair Cest Les Outers is going to be able to be there for both of them. He had to level up the time walk, but that's just fine. I want to call Nomad out a little bit here. You know, he said he wanted Cloud first, then Meteor, then Poke, but wasn't it him that was really going to bat for Poke because of their amazing logo, which, by the way, I do agree with. We really want to see that on some t-shirt designs and some merch out there. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit sussy about that one. What do you reckon?
Oh, it was both of them. I think it was mainly T bringing it up. And then Nomad's like, all right, you know, that is pretty true. They do have a pretty dope logo. I also know that you're eager to say the Faceless Void name properly, so we'll give you one go at it.
We'll wait until he makes a big impact, you know?
Okay. We'll hold on for that juicy name. So, all right, already for Poke, you get a couple kills. What would the bounty rune look like? 3 bounties for the boys on Radiant, so you couldn't really ask for a better start.
No, and they're going to need it because I really like this Cloud draft overall. I think they're going to be in a super solid position to be able to win this game just because the offlane, it's good. Tiny Enigma is still one of the strongest offlane pairings you can ask for. Top lane, yeah, it might not be super great. I think if Poke are going to stand any chance, Killer needs to be enabled as much as possible. This Broodmother, there isn't any main answers to it in the super early game. You're going to need to be able to pop that Avatos combo probably into an additional stun through the likes of the Black Hole, and well, I feel like CSJ needs to be doing his own like Broodmother-ish things with being able to open up the map for Team Cloud as well. So I'm going to be watching the Broodmother with serious interest.
Okay. So far, I think also very intrigued to see how Butterfly Effect is able to perform once again on the Death Prophet. He completely took over that game against LBZS, so he does have some awkward matchups. I think really the important one is going to be the Shadow Demon in a game like this. I
did like the Shadow Demon pick. It was
Yes.
a really good Shadow Demon pick coming through. You know, like it sets up for the Mirana arrows, and like you were just about to mention before I rudely interrupted you, the Demonic Purge is going to be great against the Death Prophet, right? They don't have any BKB piercing stuns, but it's still a slow. It's going to prevent that Death Prophet from chasing you down.
Yeah, which is a big thing. I think also it can be a little bit different now because we see DP, like pretty much their core item build was your Scepter every game. So that was another big reason why you like the Purge against it. But of course we really see the Death Prophets look to veer away from that sort of item nowadays. But another kill was picked up top. So very great start here for the boys on Poke. They are loving life.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering when Aaron is going to feel free enough to be able to go back towards his Ancients area and start to stack that one up, because you're playing with a Leshrac, you've got plenty of tools to be able to really skyrocket his net worth. I mean, getting that first blood is obviously a big benefit for him, but he's having a really good time in this lane as well. Of course, just getting a lot of that extra stack gold farm as well. On the Shadow Demon is going to be really effective, because this is the sort of game where you want a Blink Dagger, you want an Aether Lens, you want a Aghanim Shard for yourself, as well as... looks like you still have the Salve cancelled on the top side, but he's doing a fairly good job of just keeping this a 1v1 between Killer and Andy. That's exactly what he wants.
Meanwhile, mid lane, we do have our first rotation coming out of Mercy. Smallk's going to be pretty cautious of his positioning, but looks like Mercy's going to reveal himself, so that first movement's not going to be able to pay off. They do look like they're pretty okay with leaving CSJ alone at the moment, considering the positioning of this bottom creep wave.
And he's been really good with his micro so far as well, just constantly denying his own Eidolons whenever Run Fudao has been able to try and move forward and use some of those right clicks, because the Faceless Void is going to do absolutely nothing against those Eidolons.
Mid lane, SmallKK. Can he actually turn it back around? Stun's going to be off the mark, and as a result of that, that'll cost him his own life. Butterfly Effect is able to chase him down, so a nice kill for the Death Prophet. Meanwhile, top lane as well, Cloud. They'll find their second kill in a span of a couple of seconds. Ranfu's going to try and get some revenge. The leap sets up perfectly for the point blank arrow. So the Mirana is going to be able to snag the kill and might even get the D-ward as well.
Man, Ranfu has done so much with this rotation. He took a water rune, he killed a courier with a magic stick and an observer ward on it, and he gets the D ward as well. So really nice movement coming through. It's a little bit late just to be able to protect small KK, but you'd still be fairly happy with that considering that your Enigma is continuing to farm on this bottom side. Again, for Enigma, it's more about the experience as opposed to that full lane domination. So we'll see if Ranfudao, with this movement back towards the bottom side, is going to be able to do anything to stop it, because he's a little bit forward here on CSJ.
I wonder if they look to get aggressive when the Eidolons expire. But you see CSJ starting to position a little bit more cautiously. Top lane, Starif and Killer are going out at the moment, and well, Starif with the combination of Andy's damage, it's enough to get a pretty big kill onto Killer. Eren should get a return kill nonetheless though, so you spoke about earlier the importance of like a Shadow Demon being able to find those kind of defensive items to help with his positioning and team fights, and well, that solo experience is going to be really nice for him as well, because he could maybe play the dead lane to help get some of those extra items.
Yep. Was able to steal away a bounty rune as well. He knows that he can't really go into this lane, but they had to use a lot of resources to be able to kill Killer. So it looks like he might be trying to protect this power rune, realizing how important it is to deny that away from a Death Prophet, especially if it's something like that haste or an arcane rune. So he'll look to protect the top-hand side and look at even the supports on the bottom side, really just wanting anything to be able to go their way. It's just a regen, probably not the exact one that Butterfly Effect was wanting, but you never say no to a power rune at this stage.
No, without a doubt. You're always going to take whatever you can get. Very interesting as well with the item build so far from Butterfly Effect. Actually has an Arcane Boots queued up, even though he has the kind of Enigma in the offlane, so maybe Enigma's not going to look to go into the Greaves, because the moment CSJ has the Hood, so we've seen Setsu kind of from his mid-Death Prophet, it's been like we've seen Boots of Travel sometimes, even the Treads, like the Witchblade is even being queued up, so it's going to be interesting to see, but we've got our first Exo pop down bottom, so I don't know if there's much Poke can do to defend this.
Yeah, I mean, small KKK is looking to try and shove out that mid lane so that he could potentially make a rotation towards bottom, but he's running a little bit low on mana, so I'm not sure if he wants to commit this one.
It's just going to be a slow siege from Cloud. Well, they might be forced to try to commit their hand pretty shortly with small KK showing up down bottom, so in the end, they'll get a decent chunk of damage onto the tower, only 400 health standing, so you'd probably be pretty happy with that first Exo. Meanwhile, you've got Andy, who's pretty content with just playing into the Broodmother at the moment, and Starif was able to soak some of the experiences mid as well.
Yeah, I think that's all you really want out of the first Exo, right, is to get the tower low enough. Like, death times are still incredibly low, but you're about to hit level 6 on the Enigma, right? So it's just going to be a kill or the threat of the black hole, especially if Tiny looks to play around there, that you get a kill, you're going to take this tower without needing that Exo for the second time. Once again, though, Poke looking to protect these power runes as much as possible, or at least, no, actually both sides they're looking to commit someone onto to ensure that small KK is able to pick that one up. And well, it's actually going to be the top side and an Invis rune. Again, not the greatest for this stage, and the arrow is actually just off the mark. Invisibility. They're looking to keep chasing.
Combo. All right. Well, they might even look to try and connect with Killer. They did shove Andy back out of the lane. Only 1 point in the Diabolic Edict, though. So small KK is going to be able to get a Courier. And we've got the rest of the support starting to move to top as well. So what's the call from Cloud? Do you feel like they can defend this tower if they bring more members?
Probably not, to be honest. I mean, maybe they're just feeling that the Broodmother is a little low on mana, so he's not actually going to have too much of that Spawn Spiderlings going on. Starif might just be giving up his life here to force them to commit onto him as opposed to the tower.
At least before he goes down, he was able to get a majority of the Spiderlings.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he bought out as the Arcane Boots queued up, so doesn't really have any small item that he's looking to pick up. But meanwhile, bottom lane, CSJ's already been able to find the tower. Butterfly Effect has been able to get a decent chunk of damage into the tier 1 mid as well. So even though they will lose their tower top, we see Cloud getting a decent amount out of the map as well.
Will they, though? I wonder if he's just going to TP back towards the top side with full mana and now try and deal with this this Broodmother push, because again, he doesn't have a lot of mana to play with, but instead looks like they want to commit on to this mid lane with the Exo up for the second time.
Oh, nice banishment. And the arrow onto Butterfly Effect as well. Let's see how tanky Small KK is truly going to be. And at this stage of the game, it's not enough. And now Butterfly Effect, he look to charge on over towards Aaron. There's nothing they can do to hold back the Death Prophet. Butterfly Effect, great use of that second Exorcism. They're even considering about chasing down Ren Fu, but they won't have a way to control the Murano.
I don't think they actually had a look at if there were any stacks built up inside of the Ancients area, but that certainly is going to be a possibility. And it's got to really ramp up the priority for Small KK to be able to pick that one up there. He wants to push out this midway first, and then really wouldn't be surprised to see him make that movement back there, because you can't lose that. This is your, I was about to say comeback potential, but you just need it to be as far ahead of this Cloud lineup as possible, because that is the only damage, essentially, that you've got going into the Chronosphere when it eventually does come out.
And we even see they're looking to itemize to mitigate a lot of the Leshrax's damage. Like with this hood, I'd have to imagine it's going to be a pipe very shortly here for CSJ. They don't really have a Mage Slayer builder, which is a little unfortunate. We've seen that's also been a great way to be able to mitigate a lot of the Leshrax's damage, so they'll be pretty reliant on just maybe the BKBs and that pipe towards the mid stage of this game.
Who knows? I mean, Andy might look to go for it eventually, right? It builds into the Bloodthorn. It's going to be good at forcing out BKBs pretty early on into the piece, but I do feel like Andy has probably a little bit higher priorities to come through. Like, you're a Morphling, you want to have that Manta style, you want that BKB, you want Ags, you want Skadi.
Oh, look at this smoke. Lonfer is going to try and drop the Chrono. They weren't able to find the Archbishop ship, but the arrow gets tanked. It's not enough, or is it? Andy stays alive thanks to the Solar Guardian. Now all of Cloud, they've shown up to take the team fight. What a defensive play. Mercy was able to tank the arrow. It gave them enough time for the boys to come and the Solar Guardian to keep Andy alive. That was just beautiful out of the supports.
I mean, you and me were chatting during the draft phase. I was all on the Cloud train just because I feel like they have the answers to 90% of what Poke are going to be throwing at them. When we just saw one of those instances, right? You drop the Chronosphere, you don't have overwhelming damage going into it. It is off the back of a really nice play by Mercy to be able to tank up that arrow and still not die. But yeah, not even needing the mechanism for that one there. Just the Solar Guardian coming in onto the Chronosphere feels like a direct counter to me. And I already reeled off all of the different items that Morphling could look to purchase to be a really big counter towards this Faceless Void.
Which,
of course, it does swing both ways, though, doesn't it? Like, if he's able to get that Chronosphere before the attribute shift, and they do get a good amount of farm onto this Lesh, then could be a different story.
Yeah, that it could be indeed. Aaron's able to get the banishment before Butterfly Effect was in range for that toss back, so it won't get an easy kill onto the Shadow Demon. Both sides have pretty good vision inside the jungle, so I don't think anything's going to be able to come out of this. We'll see who's able to kind of scout out the position of the wards.
So my main issue with this, the other main issue I have, is that in order to kill basically anyone of, like, serious significance, is that I think they'll need the Chrono, right? Because you're going up against a Death Prophet who's now got the mech and is very close to the Greaves. You're going up against an Enigma who's got the hood and almost has the pipe, and a Dawnbreaker has finished the Holy Locket now, and he's going into the Aghanim Scepter, right? So if anyone just... Who do you kill first, is my main question here. Like, is it the Morphling that you try and catch out on his own and think that you can actually look to burst through the even the heal coming through from the Dawnbreaker? But again, without that setup coming through from the
Butterfly Effect's actually taking a lot of damage from the spiders. Holy. Also pop the mech was down to about a third health just off the back of that, but once you kind of just ran out a bunch of spiders here from Killer, so I'm not going to see that attempt for a little bit of time. I think
they're going to go for an aggressive move right now because he's got the Arcane Rune popped and Exorcism's at the ready, Greaves flying out to him now, Solar Guardian, everything's up for them at the moment. So seems like that was what they wanted to do, but some good spamming. Nope, so they still go for the smoke there. It's not under any sort of vision either, but will they be able to pop the Exo before that Arcane Rune expires, and or can they catch someone? They might see Small KK farming here.
Not an easy kill being on the low ground. Mercy's going to look for the toss back, maybe setting up for the black hole. They're not requiring the damage at the moment because Butterfly Effect is nearby. And he's got a haste rune to activate as well to try and charge down another, but Killer's already been able to evacuate from the neighborhood, so it'll just be a kill, but a pretty big kill. Being able to slow down this Bloodstone timing here from the Lesh.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he is such a big portion of that push. Like you said, no Mage Slayer builder, so if you could just look to lessen the impact that he's able to have early on by killing him multiple times, that's going to be a big win for you. And, you know, the Skadi's going to mitigate that somewhat, but Andy's still a fair ways away from being able to pick that one up. They do see him farming underneath this Observer Ward, though. Look at Longfair on the bottom side. I think they really want to get this kill with the Solar Guardian being on cooldown. They're just waiting for the arrow to be in a good position, but I don't know if you've got the damage for this.
No, he wasn't able to find the attribute shift. Longfair, beautifully done. Just enough damage. The calculations, they were on the mark there from Poke, so that kill was able to give them enough space across the map. Small KK off the back of the Ancient stack was able to pick up his Bloodstone now. And I wonder if we're going to start to see the ball rolling here for Poke, because one big concern I have with them is that their team fight is just far inferior to the boys on Cloud. You got the Exo, the Black Hole, the Solar Guardian. I'm concerned that their lineup really revolves around kind of just the pick-up potential across the map, as we're going to see Ranfur. Well, he'll be caught out inside the river, so Cloud got a nice little freebie. Unfortunately, they weren't able to leave the rune for Butterfly Effect.
It is what it is. I mean, it's very important that they got that kill, though, onto the Morphling, right? Even just the Mirana, I was worried that with that big creep wave, they wouldn't have been able to land the arrow, but turns out the burst damage coming through from the Starstorm was more important to be able to land in onto that Morphling. Butterfly Effect, though, he's got a pretty juicy creep wave on this bottom side. You can tell he doesn't want to use the Exo until he's level 12, and right now he's just trying to force out a glyph so that push is even more impactful.
And Longfair, they're just going to utilize the perfect chain control.
There we go.
An Avalanche to silence follow-up and the toss at the last second to make sure there was absolutely no opportunity for him to be able to get away. And
can they go high ground off of this? I know it's early, and they probably won't, but I mean, you don't have Chrono, you have a big creep wave on the bottom side with a fresh Exo 2 popped, Black Hole.
They're looking for mid instead. Okay. Solar Guardian, as soon as the banishment expires, so they'll get the stun. And
they'll
Small
take
KK, unfortunately, is not going to be able to heal back up off the Bloodstone active. They're looking for the wraparound as well. CSJ has got the Black Ult already, but it looks like they won't even require it. Ranfu's completely out of leap charge as a toss back into the silence once again, as Butterfly Effect is up to a killing spree, and we just saw how active they were across the map. You get the kill down bottom, claim the tier 2, then instantly they look to mid to try and stop that push that was going on from Poke.
It was the push going on from Poke, but more importantly, it was the push without Killer. And I think that's the big thing that led them to not getting anything in exchange for that tier 2 and the Faceless Void dying, right? We've seen that be the mark of the superior teams in that they're just a couple of seconds faster than others. You know, the Broodmother ended up showing up a tiny bit late, wasn't even able to get the mech off onto the Leshrac, which might have been enough to be able to let that Bloodstone really go to work.
And I wonder what the emotions are right now for Poke in this game. Like, I don't think their net worth lead really tells the tale of how this game is kind of situated right now. I'm very concerned for how this lineup is going to be able to perform as the game continues to go on. And we've got to keep in mind, like, these are best of ones, and they're mentally taxing, and you don't have that second game to potentially, you know, make some...
This is the move that they want. They're going for a smoke. They've got the Chrono available. Fresh Maelstrom picked up as well. They want to be able to find a high priority target and actually get a tower of their own. I mean, Mercy doesn't feel like the greatest one to be able to commit all of this onto, and what a great Avalanche. They're actually going to be able to protect him as well. Solar Guardian up in 7 seconds. I wonder if they're just saying, look, try and bait them super deep. We could still make a turnaround. Or they might just look to push out that mid lane. Alright, tier 2 tower, not the worst. But we haven't even seen a Black Hole come out yet either. CSJ just looking to keep the threat of that one available, like we were talking about before, Cloud with the overwhelming teamfight superiority.
You got Mercy's Blink now as well, just completed, so a little bit later because he did go for the phase boots and the windlace, but they're going to have, I mean, he's had a lot of impact already without the Blink, 2, 1, and 7. Involved of 9 out of the 12 kills here for the Tiny. Well, we're going to see that start to skyrocket now with his kind of initiation tools. Lunfer might be the target. They've got a great one on the high ground to scout up the backline support.
Good timing.
They'll get the toss before the banishment, so he's still going to be chucked inside the middle. But the Glimmer Cape will enable the time walk away. As now Small KK is going to look to enter the fight. They'll be able to run down the Tiny as the rest of the Cloud will try and back off towards the east.
That was a big save coming through by Aaron. If he's not able to get that disruption off, they probably get that full combination through onto the Faceless Void. You take him out, you don't have the damage to be able to run down the Tiny. But you didn't really pop anything super significant, right? Yes, it was the Blink Dagger reveal on the Tiny, but no ultimates used, just an Avatos combo. And it was still Morphling able to spend a little bit more time farming on the bottom side. And well, he's already halfway towards that Aghanim Scepter.
Well, that's scary because Lonfer is not close at all in regards to how he's going to be able to address this. We've seen the Lincolns, we've seen the Moonshard. It's going to be a big window where Andy's got the Scepter to play with without a kind of response from the Faceless Void. As well, we're seeing Team Cloud. They're trying to get aggressive with their own smoke. Mercy and Butterfly Effect trying to connect down to bottom. Ooh. Mercy gets a jump, but great
Aaron
reactions
again
from Aaron. That quick blink away, and they will not be able to catch up to Ranfu. So maybe this leaves Starf a little bit vulnerable top. They will get one TP in. It's actually going to be the Faceless Void on top of the outpost, but no one else is close enough to be able to cancel the escape.
And this is the thing, right? It's a Dawnbreaker. He's got that level 2 ultimate now available. So I wonder if they're just going to try and shove in this middle lane, go for a big wraparound. They've still got this Observer Ward that Aaron is standing on top of. He's under the cover of Invis right now, but they actually look to be getting a kill onto this Tiny here.
Oh, he got the blink away. A little bit too late here with the arrow.
That's the prime
They'll
target
get
you
the
want.
easy toss back onto Aaron. Purge is still going to be out, so Butterfly Effect controlled for the moment, and Lonfer finds an angle for the Chronosphere, but the Solar Guardian just repairing all of the initial damage, but it sets up for the double stun as Small KK. They're going to be cautious, though. The Black Hole dropped the middle. The BKB protecting him. Small KK, he's out of mana, though. Is it going to have too many resources to potentially turn the team fight back around? The Greaves will come into play. Can he stay alive long enough for the Bloodstone to come back up? And that's not the case, but off the back of the buybacks, Poke, they're looking to turn this one around, but simultaneously, Andy just having a completely free fight, waveforming over the tree line without a care in the world. But it looks like the control is the one thing in question. There's Poke. They're going to be able to reset the position. Oof. Butterfly Effect almost going down, but...
Oh, not the Eidolons.
No, thanks to the
Not the Eidolons. Oh, run away, Aaron. Oh, that's a dieback. That is pretty significant. Just not having that save, not having that setup. I mean, yeah, there we go. Or CSJ bullying Aaron's charity. But I mean, you couldn't have asked for much more from Aaron up until that point, right? He feels like it was really important for them to be able to potentially get that turnaround happening, but just one time where he's slightly out of position, and again, it's off the back of that Observer Ward that they placed inside of the Ancient Camp area. Big props to Stara for being able to place that one down previously. You can just see, they're lacking in stuns, they're lacking in save outside of the Shadow Demon Q, which he was in the grave. Doesn't feel that great, does it?
Top lane, back live. They're going to see Faceless Void under the lane. Andy and Mercy together. 1400 health for the Faceless Void. Let's see if it's going to be enough damage coming out from the boys on Die to blow him up. And with the help of the Solar Guardian, it will indeed be. Now CSJ, well, they're going to be cautious though, because actually the boys on Radiant, they feel like they're strong enough to take a team fight down their carry.
This is just the vibe.
Strax going to look to enter the fight. Easy kill onto Star, but like you said, that is just a position 5. They need to get more out of this. They're going to try and attempt it with a smoke. Andy's not an easy man to bring down at all, and it's actually going to enable them to jump the backline. They weren't protecting Mercy. He was able to find at least a banishment off for the last second, but the turnaround onto Andy. Waveform still on cooldown for the moment, up in a couple seconds. Andy, he can use this one to reset his positioning. And now with Butterfly Effect showing up, they need to respect the Death Prophet. Mercy's going to be back in with a combination to set up for the splitter from Andy's replicate. And our Cloud, do they want to pursue on for more? Looks like they will respect the Faceless Void respawn and back off well and truly happy with what they've claimed.
Yeah, not wanting to give up this Roshan for free. That could be the thing that brings them back into the game. I mean, we know good answers to the likes of the Chronosphere or the Black Hole is that Aegis the Immortals, so that is a really high priority for both of these teams. And yeah, like we were saying, Andy's got the Aghanim Scepter now, right? Didn't even need to go into the Faceless Void that time around. Happy enough to be able to steal away a lot of that spell amplification from the Leshrac. I mean, that's kind of a pseudo Mage Slayer.
Interesting.
So I would imagine that it's going to be a Skadi coming through for Andy next. Just preventing a little bit more of that Bloodstone heal from coming through. No real other heals on the team just yet. Of course, Mirana has the casual headdress, but hasn't been able to do much else in terms of being able to scale into this later stage of the game. You've got the Greaves for sure, but just doesn't feel quite as strong.
Yeah, and we really haven't seen this SD Mirana combo have a whole lot of value in this game. Something that you probably hoping to get a little bit more out of for Poke, but we'll see if they're going to be able to read the smoke, and it's not the case. Mercy knows exactly where the Shadow Demon was with the poisons from the high ground, so they're going to jump, and that pickoff probably is enough for them to look to walk into the pit.
Was playing a pub last night, and it felt like I was priority number one every single time, despite being a support. And it really feels like that is exactly what Eren is experiencing right now.
Lonfer? Oh no. Lonfer just caught out on the high ground. No hesitation. CSJ hasn't really found too many opportunities for the Black Hole, but a Faceless Void alone like that is more than happy to try and commit the ultimate and look to now go back into Roche.
Yeah. I mean, again, without Shadow Demon there isn't really any save without the Leshrac trying to pump in a little bit damage going the other way.
Oh, Mercy as well.
Quite as strong. And yeah.
Just the vision game. That's what it is right now. The vision that Cloud's playing with, just enabling Mercy to find the jump, and now you've got multiple heroes to be able to follow up on this tiny initiation.
And you've got something to enable Andy to play a little bit more aggressively towards the front lines. He now has that Aegis the Immortal to be able to play around with, and it's not like the other cores are bad at pushing either. You've, of course, got a Death Prophet with Exo just about to be off cooldown in a minute and a half, and then level 3 on that one will be coming through pretty shortly as well, so they're looking for more. They're playing once again around all this vision. Yeah.
Butterfly Effect starts a little bit too early before Mercy was able to follow up. So it looks like the carrier Poke will be able to reset their position, but it's going to shove them at least out of the triangle. You see all the lanes are starting to get pushed in as well, so this next couple of minutes, it's not going to be easy for Poke to kind of manage the map.
It's not, and unfortunately for Lonfer, it was nighttime then as well, so he's actually was playing underneath 2 Observer Wards, and he had a Sentry that covered both of them, but just didn't see either of them on his way through, so looks like Team Cloud are still going to be able to play around that sort of area. Mercy's just looking for those individual pickoffs and ends up placing an Observer Ward at the exact same time that Ranfu Dao is able to place down his Sentry. So at least they're not going to find any quick pickoffs onto any high priority targets, but you've still got multiple tier 2 towers now that are sitting on lower than full HP with no glyph to be able to protect them.
You're just hoping that Small KK is able to find enough farm across the map to work towards the Shivas. I mean, he's doing a really good job at being able to put himself on the enemy side. I hope he didn't run. Oh, actually, plus back. They found Killer. And let's see if the Broodmother's going to be able to juke through the tree line. Your Scepter will hold it down for the moment, giving Mercy enough time for the abilities to come back off cooldown. Killer's really being a nuisance, and even with the Moonlight Shadow, they're in fact lacking the detection, so that's some time wasted. You see Lonfer might be able to take a T1 tower down bottom. Still Small KK almost has enough gold for his Shivas now, so okay.
Oh, you got to get out of here, Killer. You were just able to escape. Looks like they're not all that concerned, though. Again, the glyph was used previously for the tier 2 towers, which means that it's not going to be available for this level 3 Exo to start pumping in damage onto the tier 3s. Starf as well has the Aghanims.
That's a big jump, but he doesn't get the toss back onto the Shadow Demon. will now be forced to toss the Brood instead, so Mercy's going to go down. And off the back of that, Cloud, they probably don't feel safe with now continuing on this siege.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised that they didn't continue to commit on that one. They still had a good duration left on the Exo, they had the Blink Black Hole available, and they had the Aghanim's Dawnbreaker ulti up as well. So maybe just really valuing the impact that Mercy's going to be able to provide with that toss back onto, again, Shadow Demon is priority number one. He is such a big component of not only the save potential, but also damage mitigation from just being able to slow down the Death Prophet from running at you with that Demonic Purge, prevents the Yule Scepters, like we were saying, on the Tiny, and even just a little bit of the damage coming through as well, right? We saw in that previous fight in mid lane, feels like about 10 or so minutes ago, he was able to cast the Disruption in onto the Morphling and do a good amount of damage just through the illusions that spawn from it. And he's so close to Skadi. Still minting a bit left on the Aegis, so wonder if with that level 20 they're feeling super confident to be able to move forward. I don't know if they need the Exo, to be honest. Like, it's a luxury at this stage.
I'm honestly quite surprised that this net worth lead is only 5k.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I mean, Killer's been playing very far out on the map, kind of doing what he needs to. He's only died the once on the Broodmother, which against this sort of lineup is...
Lonfer? Mercy's been able to catch him out of the tree line, and CSJ, he's just going to drop the black hole. So Lonfer on his kind of split pushing shenanigans.
Oh, and he just bought the BKB as well, so no buyback.
They're trying to beeline to mid, but doesn't seem like Andy's too worried. In fact, considering about reforming onto the high ground. And they're not going to have too long to work with this second life. They'd love to get a little bit of extra damage into the tier 3 tower, but with that Skadi, we see all the bonus stats that he can play with. They're actually even going to commit. I mean, they're 20 seconds without the Void.
Oh, they're trying to find the SD again, and look at that. As soon as he reveals, even for a split second on the map, they look to chase him down. This is how important
if they want to go on the arrow, they might.
Okay.
All right, Small KK is able to jump in. Now, Butterfly Effect might be in some trouble as well. Doesn't have any Spirit Siphon charges left, so Cloud, they need to look to retreat.
Can they get this arrow onto Andy?
Oh, nice sidestep. Not an easy spot to be able to avoid the arrow, but found a position that he will not get clipped, and Andy's going to be able to back on out. So, in the end, you just lose the Tiny for that. The high ground, they don't get a lot out of it. I mean, we see some damage in the range barracks up top, but all things considering, you'd have to be pretty happy for Poke with how they're able to stall that push.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Cloud might be playing a little bit timid, and to be honest, it's understandable, right? Best of ones, a single loss puts you really behind the 8 ball, where, you know, a single win essentially forces tiebreakers to go around again at the absolute minimum. So I can understand a little bit of their hesitation, but there comes a point where you have to realize how far in reality that you're ahead.
Radiant are scanning.
Obviously, Poke, they're going to look to try and make their own play. Lanes are in a pretty good position for this. Not going to be easy for Cloud to read. It is a 5-man smoke, though, so no one is showing on the map. So thanks to this, Cloud, they're going to look to reposition themselves back to the safety of their high ground. You see Observer, Sentry dropped on the cliff, and Mercy is going to act as that kind of smoke block.
Yeah.
Then that information to be able to react as soon as Poke reveal themselves. And no, it's going to be Killer to show first in the lane, and they'll see the outpost getting claimed shortly as well. So Cloud will be able to dodge this smoke.
This is the advantage of playing with heroes like the Enigma, like the Naga Siren, for example, is that you're able to keep those lanes shoved out, at least have to consider, well, what's the lane situation at right now, while you're going for those 4 or 5-man smokes, right? It reveals a lot of information when no one is revealing on the map, and, well, just those little illusions or Eidolons look to prevent a lot of that, as, well, they might be able to catch out Killer here if Mercy's on point with his Blink Toss back into
Aaron's
all the boys.
pretty close. Let's see if the banishment's going to be enough to keep him alive, but the damage just comes out at such a rapid rate that even Aaron wasn't able to get close enough to offer some protection.
It's a full minute now. with no Broodmother. He's going into a Nullify for himself, just really wanting to get through a lot of this save potential that they've got through things like the Pipe, like the Yule Scepter, for example. They're just going to push it. They don't want him to be able to have that money to be able to pick up that next big item. Again, no glyph available this time around. It was a smart purchase, of course, of the Shard. Just trying to force out some big cooldowns right now on Cloud. Mostly the BKB is what they're looking for.
Okay, he's actually going to jump in. They'll look to start at the back of the left track, but the Solar Guardian used. So they won't have this for the Chronosphere now. Meanwhile, the Chrono actually does get used solo into the Morphling, but he was able to get the attribute shift before the bubble, so Anti's more than okay. And up with the Black Hole solely used thanks to the Leshrac. They're going to try and bring him down, and they'll do just that. The main damage source on Poke not available now for this defense. It doesn't have a buyback as well, so it's going to be a lot of objective damage inside the base of Poke.
Faceless Void is one of those heroes that you absolutely love to use the Aghanim Scepter onto. Not only just for the additional amount of movement that it provides, although he's getting a little low here. They commit for him.
Actually able to blow him up there. I thought the attribute shift was going to be enough to keep him alive, but not the case. That's kind of messy in a way. I mean, the Lesh gone dead for 40, no buyback, no chrono. Definitely could have gotten more objectives out of that, but unfortunately for Cloud, as a result of the Morphling going down, they're going to be forced to retreat away from the siege.
I mean, they're doing a lot of what they should, right? They're trying to poke. They're trying to say... fitting, right? But they're going in with the reverse time walk, just trying to bait out a few of these things like the Pipe, like the Greaves, like the BKBs, but Cloud aren't biting. They're just saying, you know what? You need to fully commit before we go in to pop anything. We saw, though, there at the very end of the fight, when they didn't have a lot of those cooldowns available, they were able to take out a hero like that Morphling, and, well, they're going to go straight into the Roche Pit.
Mercy will get the start of Aaron. A toss over closer to CSJ, but the Black Hole's not at the ready. They should be able to bring Roche down before the Morphling's alive. I don't think there's much Cloud can do to kind of stop this.
No, even Exo's got 15 seconds left on it. It needs to be all on the back of Mercy.
That one death, not only... Oh, Mercy? Great double avalanche. They're going to put all their attention to try and shut away the Shadow Demon's impact in the team fight. Maybe this will be able to enable Butterfly Effect, but as soon as the Exorcism is activated, Poke are going to try and retreat with a leap up in a couple of seconds. Ranfu will be okay. And the rest of Cloud, do they just look to walk it down mid?
They could go bottom. They got a very healthy wave there, and, well, let's see what the positioning is like from Mercy. Can he get another Avatos combo off onto him while they've still got this Exo running? Looks like he's trying to stay inside the fog for as long as possible. Just playing on the outskirts there. Perfect positioning so that the high ground tower doesn't see him, but they're still going to back off on Poke just to be able to get away from it. So, I mean, that's exactly what we were wanting, right? They got the Poke, they got the kill onto a pretty high priority target, they got the Aegis, and they used the Exorcism on the Death Prophet. So it's going to give them that little bit more time to be able to pick up that next item. For them, it's also going to be a Skadi. And understandable, right? Going up against the Morphling, going up against the Solar Guardian, the Greaves coming through, Spirit Siphon. It's a very effective item for L'Enfer to be able to pick up for his team. Ooh, Timeless Relic too. But a Spell Prism going the other way.
Is it a L'Enfer instead of L'Enfer?
L'Enfer.
L'Enfer, okay. Are we going to say the full name now, or are we waiting for the 5-minute
L'Enfer, c'est les autres.
Oh, God.
Hell is other people, and, well... He hasn't really been the main target a lot of these times. Yeah, he's died the 5 times, but I'm sure that's what Aaron's really thinking. He started this game 3-3-3, and ever since then he's died 6 times, just because he's been priority number 1. You feel for the guy, but now he's got a Glimmer Cape to be able to play around with. He's had a Blink Dagger for quite some time, just so that he could play super far back away from the boys and get that Blink save off, or get that Blink Demonic Purge. I wonder if he looks to commit forward for this Aghanim Shard, though, or if they're going to look to value the buyback over that. Just gonna go for a smoke instead.
Alright, what can they get out of this here for Poke? Maybe a big item reveal is going to be the Hex on Killer. He looked to kind of deter away from the Nullifier that he had queued up for quite some time, so...
I wonder if they're going to bait small KK on this bottom side. Like, this tower's really low. Will they be able to get any TPs down here? Doesn't like anyone wanted to respond to that with the smoke coming through, and they're actually going to look to make something happen in response to it. The vision is going to be a slight advantage.
He's going to run into Aaron. It's a big tide if they're able to bring him down. They'll drop the ward as well. Look at the priority they're trying to put on the Shadow Demon. Mercy's able to find the Yules, holding him into place for the moment, so SD's going to be okay. Off to the left side, throw the Hex. Andy protected with the Solar Guardian. They're still going to lay down the Chrono, but look at the Solar Guardian keeping him healthy enough. And now CSJ, that's the black hole they've been waiting for, but the Banishment keeps Small KK alive for the moment. Void's going to look to try and set himself off the back of round 2, but they won't have a Lesh for this team fight. As now Andy, he can look to time walk over the top. They're lacking the control to deal with the Broodmother. He's even going to waveform further and further, chasing down Lonfair. But a buyback will come out of Small KK. They've got to be cautious. Even Lonfair's going to buy back as well. So Cloud, you need to cut your losses, but you need some way to protect Andy. Mercy's going to try and do whatever he can, but there was not even a use of an avalanche. Andy goes down. Now Mercy might be in trouble as well. They're even going to smoke to just try and close the distance that much faster. A blink's up in a couple of seconds, but the time dilation stops it short. Tiny will be chased down under the T2 tower. And Poke, it was looking like a rough start to the team fight. It was an incredible black hole, but off the back of multiple buybacks, they will come out on top.
You got to get something out of this, though, and that's why CSJ's positioning is so good on this bottom side. He realizes the team fight not going well for him, but the lane's all pretty heavily shoved in, so they're just trying to cut them for right now. But even with all of those buybacks being expended, they're not going to get much more than just a few kills and a little bit of net worth. Well, honestly, even the net worth is probably going to be pretty even, right, because of all those buybacks that had to be expended. Look at the damage coming through from the Leshrac, just in a singular team fight, 12k. He just ran completely out of steam by the end of it, though.
Wow. I mean, what a crazy fight. Again, we see them jumping on Andy. I was surprised at how much damage was actually coming out of the Chrono, even with that Solar Guardian nearby, but I mean, that's really the turning point. I thought it was going to be for CSJ with the black hole.
That was a refresher orb on the Dawnbreaker as well. So you got 2 lots of that Aghanims plus the Holy Locket Solar Guardian. That just shows how overwhelming the damage can be from this Leshrac. And, well, Lesh survived through the vast majority of that, so he's level 25. He's got all of those additional Diabolic Edict explosions. They weren't lucky enough to be able to convert that one team fight into a push. But if they get another team fight and it's a similar sort of situation, those extra explosions coming through from it is going to benefit them in a huge way.
And even off the back of the buyback from Small KK, he's still been able to find enough gold to complete the Hex. So you've got double Hex now, which could prove to be a really big issue for Andy. This attribute shift with the Aghanim Shard, you're unable to use it. So there's definitely a potential for him to be blown up 4-0 if a double Hex does come out.
Yeah, so I wonder if the option is, like, he's going into a Daedalus, which I feel like they're putting a lot of faith into Mercy at the moment. He's been doing a really good job getting a lot of these, you know, tosses to be able to start these fights. It's just a matter of... Actually, I do appreciate that, because they don't have buybacks, right? We know that they don't have buybacks now. So they're just saying, look, we feel like the Morphling is going to be able to survive. He can go a little bit more into the damage, and we're going to bank on Tiny to be able to find that initial pickoff. Because what happened to us in that past fight, they're not going to be able to do it again. We've still got the net worth advantage. We've still got a little bit of an experience advantage going our way.
And importantly, you have this threat of the double black hole now.
Yeah.
And we saw, like...
Andy's nearly at 25 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be even more damage getting pumped through from the Morphling inside the black hole. But we saw what happened last fight. Like, even though it did go well for Poke, they weren't able to address the black hole from CSJ, and they will not through the entirety of this game. So you have one more successful team fight, and this game could just be over with the diebacks on both the Void and the Lesh. So you can just solo black hole one, refresh, and solo black hole the other core, and we could just be, this could be GG in 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopping on about it a little bit, but Aaron's positioning is so important right now. He's looking to try and be in the place to be able to pop some of these smokes.
They see Lonfair. Butterfly Effect's able to try and jump in the middle, but Aaron will protect him with the banishment. All eyes on CSJ if he's able to close the distance. It's an all-out retreat from both. They're going to try and cancel Aaron's TP, and they will be able to do so. So the Shadow Demon's going to end up going down. He does have a buyback at least. And with them turning their attention over the Shadow Demon, it did enable Unfair to be able to retreat away. So at least you weren't able to get that main priority on the Void.
Small KK is trying to get their attention away from this mid lane, from just being able to push in, but you've got plenty of creeps for it. And
all right, first X. Where's Alesh? And he's okay. Playing with a decent chunk of health. I think he was actually able to find the attribute shift before Killer got in range, and now they're going to turn to the Shadow. He just bought back. You need to try and protect the Shadow Demon who just bought back. Aaron continuing to get chased out of the south, but CSJ flying to Black Hole onto 2. Butterfly Effect is going to be able to follow up with the damage to waveform into the middle as well. The Morphling, he didn't go down. The Morphling didn't die. Finds an opportunity for the Chronosphere, but the Solar Guardian repairs all the damage. It'll keep the Morphling alive long enough. And he's going to be able to reposition out the base they go. It's an all-out retreat from Cloud. How? How does only 2 members die? What?
2 died, but there were 2 buybacks coming through, right? Aaron used his previously before that even started, and Mirana as well at the very end of things. I mean, it feels just like they are lacking that little bit of damage, though, doesn't it? And so that's why Ranfu Dao, of course, the extra little bit of lifesteal can never hurt, but the damage buff coming through from that Vlad's is going to be very important for them to pick up. But they've even been able to secure a gem for themselves as well, so maybe realizing that this Roshan is the one that they need to be
Killer's
playing
in trouble now. They just picked up a double damage rune on Andy. If they can get the toss back, Killer's not going to be long for this world. Glimmer Cape actually gives him some time to reset. They're thinking about going back in. Small KK. He's starting to beeline to the neighborhood. Observer Ward drop down, they'll get the jump. There's the Hex. The follow-up chain control. It's enough. They'll use another round of the Hex onto the Death Prophet. Uh-oh, Cloud crumbling under this late game pressure.
Yeah, even with it super creep secured, they're going to have a creep wave pushing in, but that's not the main target. With all those buybacks being expended previously, you got to take this Roshan. Leshrac still a minute 20 left on the buyback of his. He, I would assume, has potentially the item slot to be able to pick it up, or they might just want to put everything in onto L'Enfer so that he can go for these super deep dives. I mean, I like the fact that he's gone for the Lincoln Sphere, making sure that he is not the main target. I kind of feel like the Morphling needs to do a similar sort of thing. Like, he went all in on damage, but you just got to make sure you survive that initial burst.
Oh, baby, is this not what I love out of the best of one? Bottom lane, Mercy. The Solar Guardian. Oh, the Banishment.
Oh,
okay, Aaron.
Is he going to go back in?
They're coming. The boys are here.
Yeah,
look at Killer starting to beeline to bottom.
Mercy might want a solo
KK
pick
as well as nearby. Mercy's almost going to be able to find the solo pick up, but the damage isn't enough. Nihilism activated and Mercy just crumbles.
I thought maybe he was going to get the proc coming through from the Stormcrafter onto the Shadow Demon while he was slowly moving away, but I think it went onto the Leshrac instead. So playing with fire a little bit, especially again with that dieback being a possibility, but with this, they're looking to start hitting in onto some of these tier 3s even potentially, right? You've got the Leshrac without the boots of travel though, so he's going to need to join in onto the rest of his team fairly shortly, especially when this Tiny isn't available, but really respecting the fact that some of these big cooldowns are back and available. That's why they went for the big move previously, right? They knew that they didn't have the Exo, they knew that they didn't have the refresher on the Solar Guardian, and no Black Hole as well is just as significant.
A Wraith Pact.
Wraith Pact, okay.
Okay, what do we make of this?
Not the biggest fan, if I'm being honest, right? Like, you've still got a lot of your damage being output off of the back of the Death Prophet and off of the Midnight Pulse at this stage. That percentage damage is going to be huge for these team fights, especially as a lot of these heroes start to get a lot beefier. So really, it's only like a Morphling response, and, well, we'll see how it turns out for him. Looks
Very
like
interesting.
Andy's going the BKB instead of the Lincolns, so maybe again just looking to bank off the fact that they want the superior vision, they want to be the ones making the jump, because BKB is not the item that you go if you feel like you need to be counter-initiating, even though they've got all the tools to be able to do so.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time that Poke have been able to claim the net worth lead since about 12, 13 minutes into the game.
Almost a 50-50 win prob too.
Yeah. Crazy to be at this stage at a 50-minute stage game. We're going to see Cloud actually look to try and smoke. Playing behind Butterfly Effect at the moment. Right, they are starting to move down to maybe set up on the Death Prophet inside the lane, but meanwhile towards the higher ground, Mercy is going to be off the mark and
catches two.
He can set up with the Chronosphere. We see once again the Solar Guardian protect them inside, but the Hex going to come out the last second. Is it enough to keep the Morphling alive? It's not. They won't have Andy, now CSJ. He's not even going to be able to use the second round of the Black Hole as the boys on Poke just instantly turn to deal with the Enigma. They will not be able to stop the TP out from Starve inside the lane. Killer also will not be able to catch Butterfly Effect as well, but
he had the basher as well. Killer almost was able to catch him there. And this is a Broodmother that is a significant right-clicker at this stage. Yes, you're against a lot of damage, but he's got level 25, so he's got less base attack time. He's got, of course, the insatiable hunger just for all of that life steal coming through. And yeah, some of these buybacks are going to need to be expended. That was a BKB, again, not popped by the Morphling. So they didn't get the start to the team fight that they were wanting.
So no buyback on Morphling for 50. We'll have the Enigma up in 35. You'd love to try and hold that buyback, but you might not be able to as the Death Prophet is caught out. Once again, the chain control, but this time Butterfly Effect is going to be able to activate the BKB, but the damage is just coming fast. They'll bring him down before he's able to play around with the Spirit Siphon. Butterfly Effect forces out his buyback instantaneously as... this late game execution seems like Cloud just aren't up to par with Poke at the moment.
Well, certainly not, as they're actually going to place the Observer Ward a little bit too close to the true sight provided by the Dire base, but, well, they're looking to try and find a pickoff before this Morphling's alive.
What can you do, CSJ? What can CSJ do but Small KK? He starts to fight onto the Enigma.
Oh, he's got it now.
He doesn't have a buyback.
It just came
up.
And
now they're on Butterfly Effect as well. The bashes are raining down.
Enigma?
He's going to be okay for the moment. Trying to get the life steal, but it's not enough. Over to Star if they go. And this defense is... okay, he got the buyback gold. CSJ. Can he find an opening for the Black Hole? You bet he can! On to 3 with Andy nearby to pump in the damage. They'll stand strong. They'll hold the base for the moment, but they got to be cautious. Can they continue to chase down Lonfer? And it looks like that'll be the case. The Faceless Void, well, they're looking to buy back. Small KK along with the Faceless Void.
They made a lot of TPs to that outpost, but look at the top lane. The top lane's pushing in with this massive creep wave to Siege, and, well, the Faceless Void is going to need to stay all the way back at base, so some of those buybacks, I'm not sure if you're instantly going to be able to take advantage of them, especially if you see the Faceless Void back here.
Wow. I mean, you could not have asked for a worse start for the Enigma, and then the best Black Hole to pretty much save this game.
Yeah, I mean, he was waiting a long time with that buyback as well. It came up a couple of seconds after he died, and I was thinking, you gotta save your Death Prophet, man. When's it coming? When's it coming? It never did until they just committed a little bit too far past those tier 4 towers as they look to go for a pickoff here.
Yeah. A start.
No BKB.
And he's gone again. The Solar Guardian, it's just not enough at this stage of the game. Andy,
he got
straight back into the middle, but an instant use of the Crowfur. Lonfer is not messing around. That's a dieback out of Andy's Morphling. As Mercy was hoping for a toss back inside the base, but the G's are going to be called, and Poke somehow in this best of 1 will find a way back into this game and take it in 53 minutes.
Man, they were a 10% win probability in this game at like the 35-minute mark. And
I was laughing.
I mean, they should be. They should be, honestly, on Poke, because they were able to bring that one back. I'm sure they weren't expecting this sort of result, given how far behind they were. And you know, I briefly touched on it when it was in that super strong state for Team Cloud, right? They had everything that they could have possibly wanted. They had, you know, an Aghanim Scepter, Dawnbreaker Ultimate. You had Exorcism running. You had Aegis to be able to play with. You had Black Hole, and they didn't have anything on Poke. And they still, I felt, gave them a little bit too much respect. They still wanted to play it a bit too conservatively. I mean, we saw what happened when it gets to that super late game stage when 2 Scythe of Ices come out. You don't have the appropriate responses to it onto the Morphling, whether it be a Lotus Orb, whether it be a Lincoln Sphere. And I don't think he used that BKB more than once after picking it up. So it just goes to show that once you get to the late game, anything can happen.
Anything can happen towards the late stage of Dota. And in the end, I mean, Poke were just... There was big concerns on how they were able to execute the early game. We saw they were really struggling with that as well, but just the late game execution from them was on another level. Cloud were not able to compete with that. So an incredible performance from them. Keep in mind, I mean, we got a lot of best of ones, but this has to give them a lot of momentum and now a lot of confidence, which is important in these tiebreakers. So
Man, I just want to point out really quickly, we've seen a lot of like 30-minute games. I'm happy to see a 50-plus minute one, especially when it comes at this super high stakes. I'm going to need a drink. I'm going to need to get up and have a walk because this is looking like being a great tiebreaker series.
Yeah, that it is indeed. So I'm excited after 53 minutes what the panel is going to be able to say from this series. So we'll send it back to them.
We are starting these tiebreakers off with a bang, a huge slog coming out for game number 1 as Poke turn things around and make it happen and come back against Team Cloud, taking the first win of the tiebreakers and putting Cloud in a very precarious position. Fluke, I mean, how did this even happen? How did Cloud not steal out this game?
I think it's exactly what Danog said, right? Like, I think they just gave Poke a little bit too much respect in a couple of those high ground pushes. There were a few moments where you had Butterfly Effect as well as Andy, who were more than strong enough to be able to take a few more of these lanes of racks. They could have fallen back and taken real control of the jungle. But as soon as it starts getting towards these stages where you have to make these decisions between, you know, pushing high ground, we don't want to throw too much, you start getting in your own head. They're all best of ones as well, and this first win is all important for these teams, right? Because now Cloud, they have to win a best of one just to even stay in these tiebreakers, whereas on the other side of Poke, all they have to do is win another one and they are secured out of this tiebreaker scenario. So I think there was just a little bit too much of that doubt in the minds of Team Cloud, and they just got caught out in a few of these last couple of team fights. The fact that Andy picked up this BKB and Danog was right, he used it once in 4 deaths. And a little bit unfortunate for Andy, he really didn't get much use out of that BKB, but at the end of the day, when it gets to 51 minutes and you're playing up against a Faceless Void, it is very hard for you to beat RNGesus when he permabashes you after you get out of the Hex. So it is what it is, and Poke played well to bring that one back.
Yeah, they certainly did. Some great movements from them and some great patience and honestly the mentality as well. Surprisingly strong for a Div 2 team facing elimination, and yet they're still able to hold it together, keep the mentality, and make the comeback in this first game here. I mean, what were the standouts for you on the side of Poke Lizard?
Standouts, definitely the motivation and that they want to stay in Division 2. Like, ridiculous. Honestly, like, we all went Cloud during after the draft, right?
Yes.
And then I was like, this Enigma into the Brood can be really complicated early on. Like, you have CSJ on Enigma, but he can't really do a lot. Meanwhile, Killa on Broodmother, he can dominate the game. Like, he can really just take over the map very early on. And as an Enigma, you don't really do anything to him early on. Like, you can't really black hole ever. The vision game is always in Broodmother's favor, and that didn't even happen. Like, Poke didn't even really, well, Brood did do well, but Poke didn't, right? Like, Brood had a decent time early on, but it's not like Poke were owning. It's only later on in the game when Enigma should be the favorite is that they won, which boggles me because yeah, later on in the game, Enigma should be the one just taking the game easily, because you have this massive AoE disable. But Aaron came into play a couple of times, like the Shadow Demon was on point on a couple of saves, and the game of buybacks was also definitely on Poke's side. Like they played it a bit better in that way.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, who are you looking at for MVP? Danok's calling for Killer. Would you agree?
I mean, yeah, the Broodmother with the itemization. Also, the Broodmother was the only one that was dominating the map early on, so
yeah,
I can agree with the Brood.
I think Killer kept them in the game. I think that was the important thing. Killer was the one, not just in like the really clutch hexes and coming around the sidelines of the fights to disable those backline heroes which wanted to make the jump, but also just by staying on the map, as you say. Later on into the game, you know, even when their racks down, Killer was still there, getting it done and holding. You know, buying them enough space to not just get choked out of the game entirely, which is probably the most important part of Fluke.
Yeah, and there was also that pivotal moment in the Radiant Tier 2 tower where he basically soaks up like a good 45 seconds to a minute of time coming in from Cloud where they're trying to take that Tier 2 tower, and he just goes up and down the trees and he goes and falls back. He cuts 2 creep waves as well. So that was kind of the first spot where you see that Cloud start to respect Poke a little bit more. They get 2 of their creep waves cut by Killer. They can't get the extra lane of racks. Then maybe that might have been the tipping point for them. There was also one very pivotal moment that happened where we saw CSJ get the double black hole onto Lonfer when he didn't have buyback in towards the Radiant Tier 4 towers. But Andy, he actually got disrupted by Eren, so he didn't have those extra couple of seconds where he was able to go over and deal the damage, and then you saw Lonfer get away with, I think it was like 100 HP or something like that he got the time lock off, and then the game kind of blew out from there.
All right, well, it is winner stays on here in these tiebreakers. Therefore, Poke will now play up versus Meteor to see if they can secure that top spot or if things are going to get spicy. If Meteor can take a game off Poke, then I believe we'll be having at least some kind of sorting out here. But by all means, we're going to all 3 games. We have to, because we need to determine who is going to be taking all of these places, not just the elimination spot. But yeah, things getting very, very murky for Cloud now as they lose this game in a very dramatic way. They'll be kicking themselves about it, and hopefully it won't be for too much longer, but, you know, if things go really wrong, they could be kicking themselves about it for a very long time indeed, as they are now threatening to be eliminated from the DPC. Will Poke make it a 2-0 run for themselves in these tiebreakers, or will Meteor come back and make a claim for that top space? You'll have to find out after this break. Hello and welcome back to the Giant DPC Tiebreakers, where we have ourselves a 3-way tie here for that relegation spot. That's right, it is all getting very spicy indeed. And now we move into our next series, which is going to be Poke versus Meteor. So I guess it's time to talk about this Meteor team, because we certainly saw a lot from Poke already, but Meteor, they have always, for me, been one of the big question marks of this region. They have a lot of potential when it comes to just being able to play fast, play the map, play that aggressive style, which you love to see from these high potential Div 2 teams, but consistency is just not there, Lizard.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, sadly for them, consistency is not there. But when it comes to these 3 teams, they are my favorites, kind of out of the bunch. Then again, you never know what you're gonna get with them. So it might be some meteor that just comes in and owns. It might be some meteor that comes in and flunks, which is what has been happening throughout the season for them. Like, I sincerely hope that they come out with their A game, because this is literally it, do or die.
Yeah, exactly. You need to make the pieces fit right now. And as mentioned before, these guys, they do play fast. I mean, what is their style beyond that, Fluke?
I think they tend to pick a lot of different stuff. I think the biggest thing for me is they like to have a position for that's allowing them to do a decent amount of work on the map. They've also decided to pick up a lot of this Keeper of the Light for their team as well. So I don't know if in a best of one you want to try and fall back on something like Molasses's Keeper of the Light, considering it hasn't really been the hero that's worked out for them a lot. I think they're best hero that they've looked so far on has been their Beastmaster. I think the way that they play around the vision, the way that they play around Molasses in that offlane has looked the best for them. Surprisingly, last time these 2 teams went up against each other, their first game went 61 minutes. So, I don't know. In a best of one between these 2 teams, they might be in for a pretty long night.
Yeah, it might be getting pretty crazy here. And of course, it is worth mentioning as well that Meteor are playing with a stand-in as well. We will not be seeing Blessing coming out from them. Instead, we will be playing with Star in the middle lane. So again, a last-minute shake-up here. I mean, what does that say to you, Lizard?
Yeah, it doesn't really instill confidence to be switching up your mid laner for the for your possibly last game of the season. But at the same time, it's not the worst position to change. I feel like if you are to change something, mid lane is probably the easiest. Back in the day, mid laners were considered, they were considered the shining stars of every team. Like, you can change anything, but mid lane, like, that's the most important. And right now, I feel like, they got what they deserved, and that's the trash can, the dumpster. Get in there. You think
I feel
you're
like
cool
you're having
because
flashbacks to boot camps where the chef's like, go on mid lane. You can have a few more potatoes.
Exactly.
You can have a few more borax.
Exactly. Like, who do they think they are? Playing 1v1, thinking they're cooler than everyone else. What they are actually is easy to replace, and that's. You have to find a good mid laner, but it's not that difficult to get a good one and then fit him into the team. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, stressful as well. Like, if you're like a mid or a carry, and your mechanics start to drop, you could be gone. You could be gone in a snap of the fingers. Like you're not that integral to the team's kind of like inner development. And I think a lot of carry players actually do make themselves quite kind of important in the communication hierarchy, because they tend to be the shot callers in the ultra late. Well, not in the ultra late game, just in the late game. Because they're the ones that kind of have the best read on where the game is and the game state and the matchups and carry v carry, that kind of thing, who they can kill. I think mid lane is probably the most expendable role. I think carry comes a close second though, because it is ultimately a player which is going to do kind of the same, very, very similar things throughout the game. Meanwhile, in 3, 4, and 5, you can mix it up a lot more. There's a lot more variation in player style there, isn't there, for Fluke?
Yeah, and I think also with mid laners and carry players, it's also easy to, I think if you want to have a stand-in, you probably want to have a stand-in in one of those 2 roles, just because you can kind of meld your team around them, right? It's what you're saying where, 3, 4, and 5, they're the ones that can change their play style and be able to play around a certain player. So unfortunately for Meteor, they don't have Blessing, who I thought was a pretty standout player for them.
Yeah, I agree.
In their last couple of games as well, and now they unfortunately don't have them. Whether it was an intended choice or whether or not it was just Blessing just couldn't play today. We'll have to wait and find out for that one. But at the end of the day, hopefully it doesn't impact them too much, because this is a very, very important best of ones for Meteor to play here.
How pissed off would you be if your mid laner was like, guys, I can't play the tiebreakers, I'm afraid. I said I'd go and do this thing with...
I've got that that barbecue, that super important, unavoidable barbecue. Yeah, sorry.
It's my cousin's
Yikes.
barbecue, man. He's really looking forward to it. I said I'd bring the beers, so
Everybody's relying on me
Guys,
for the snacks.
I'm
you know?
sorry I didn't plan the tiebreakers. I didn't put them in the schedule. You told me we had this amount of days to play. What can I do?
True.
yeah.
So like I was told at the start of the season that if there were ever was tiebreakers, and it was pretty evident from a few days out. But this barbecue, it's unavoidable.
I mean, what's your favorite barbecue dish, Fluke? Tell me. What's
He's
the-
Australian. Of course, he loves a barbie on the beach at Christmas.
My favorite barbecue item. I'm probably going to sound like a basic bitch here and just say some like gourmet sausages. Just any
I
kind
like
of.
how you added gourmet and let's try and dodge. You were just like, oh, they're gonna dodge. They're gonna judge me so hard if I say sausages.
Just say
I'm gourmet.
sausages and
Just
that's
say
it.
sausages.
Yeah.
Just,
No,
just
no, because
own it.
because
Own it.
my favorite is the most recent one I had is a tri meat. So it was lamb, pork, and beef, and there was some other stuff thrown in there.
What? Why?
Sounds weird. Try it.
I mean, what's the difference between that and just a pork sausage?
Well, you get the other meats in there.
Yeah, but surely it just blends together to make some like grey like.
Well, maybe it was the
imperceptible
other
thing.
stuff that helped,
No,
but
it
I can't
doesn't,
remember the other
Nomad.
stuff outside of the three meats.
It's
So-
tastier. It's tastier. I'm sure.
All right.
Yeah.
It is. Trust me, guys. Sauce. I'm Australian.
What's your favorite barbecue meal, Lizard?
5 seconds.
Now there is like this chevap dish in Boston, Sarajevo that we're proud of. I know that there is no one in the chat that knows what I'm talking about, but we are like extremely proud of this dish. And yeah, if you weren't vegetarian, I'd definitely take you out for that. But unfortunately, we have a draft here to talk about, guys, instead of food
5 seconds
at
remaining.
5 a.m. Trient and Lina is what Meteor Gaming has got. Poke really does not want to stay in Division 2, do they?
They're making it hard for themselves. They're going to take the tough way out. They're like, all right, we did the 55-minute game. Now let's beat Lena Trian. Let's go, guys. They do get themselves Brood and Rubik at the very least, which is pretty Poggy's opening, but definitely nothing compared to the killing force, which is Trian and Lena, who have been dominant throughout this patch, Fluke.
Yeah, and I think they give themselves just a fairly open draft as well. Like, it doesn't lean you to one way or another. I think the biggest thing is it now allows you to have these second phase bans that are a little bit more targeted. Obviously, that Killer's going to be the one that's going to be playing the Broodmother here, so you're going to be okay with not having to use some bans on things like the Mars and the Primal Beast. Maybe Primal might be another one that you actually are looking towards, but you can get rid of things like the Slark here if you're okay with that. The Ursa is another one that's a pretty big one for these players to be thinking of that we've seen rise to prominence against this Lena. So Meteor, they've got some 3 really straightforward bans. I think they can just get rid of some carries here for Lomfer that he's really been abusing. I wouldn't hate to see them ban Faceless Void, if I'm being honest, because a lot of the games that they have won has been off the back of a Lomfer Faceless Void. So
Yeah,
get it out of here.
it's comfort, and you don't want them to be comfortable in a best of one tiebreaker. You want to make them as uncomfortable as possible. You want to put them on the heat. You want to barbecue them, Lizard.
Yeah, like definitely that's how it feels playing these best of ones. It's kind of rough, right? Like you're playing best of one, you have to be extremely comfortable on the hero that you're playing. If you aren't, you're gonna be making some mistakes. The nerves get to you, and it's very simple to judge. It's very easy to judge these players, but it's not easy being in their skin. Some players literally they break before best of ones. They break even before these DPC games. Like in the league, it's very difficult to keep their like. It's not morale. It's not motivation. It's not like they're sad or anything. They're just they're too afraid. Like they're afraid to play. I've been surrounded by these players like a couple of times, and it's like there is nothing you can do. They barely show up for the games because it's hard. The game is taxing, just like any other one, just like anything else. That's very extremely competitive. So yeah, I was thinking that Poke will ban out the Mars because you let them have Trient, you let them have Lina, and then you let them have Mars as well. That's not only amazing with Lina, but is an amazing hero against Brood because he can stand in front, defend the towers, post laning stage. let's see, maybe they have, oh, it's Marcy carry. Damn.
Marcy carry. At least MLP is not here to whinge and complain about it. Glad about that.
Always appreciate that. Yeah.
I can do it. Like,
No, please don't. We get enough whinging from Mike. We don't need more on the panel.
10 seconds.
But what's the response here as your 5 for Meteor? Do you try and go for like a saving support or a support that can kind of throw them up? I wouldn't hate to see a Shadow Demon, honestly.
it can be like a 4 for them as well, right? Like 3 is your 5. You get the 4 with the Mars. Like you can get something like a snap, or you can get a saving hero, dispositioning hero too. Like one way or another works. Combo something with the Mars. Get some
Mirana,
Phoenix.
perhaps.
Like even
Mirana's
into the.
banned.
Oh, Morales first ban. Who first bans Mirana? What the hell?
Yeah, it's weird first 2 bans. I'm glad we didn't talk about it. They were very weird.
If this was like V3 Gaming, we would see a Phoenix here, like 90%. It is a Marcy, by the way, and she can deal with the egg, but at the same time, it's a core Marcy. You don't want to use your ulti on the egg, so and it combos.
I experienced this the other day. I picked Gary Marcy into a Phoenix, and I was like, "This sucks. I'm just hitting this big orbital fight. I don't want to do this." So they're gonna go for the Willow, a hero we really haven't seen a lot of, but I like this.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to go down the route of the Shadow Demon, because I'm not sure if you can purge off sidekicks. I'm going to have to check that for me. But you can deal with the Frost Armor. You can, if you ulti the Marcy, it's going to be hard for her to stick on top of people if her first rebound doesn't land on top of someone. But they wanted to go for the combination with the Mars. So it's all about them. They want to play a bit more proactively, I think. So that leads me to believe that Meteor are feeling a little bit more confident going into this best of one, that they're the ones wanting to be proactive instead of reactive to what the Marcy is going to be. So giving them a hero like Dark Willow that can really pop off in that pos 4 role gives me a lot of hope here for Meteor.
It's like Overgrowth as well, right? Like you have the combo with the Mars, you also have the Overgrowth combo with Dark Willow. A hero that definitely isn't picked enough. Like, but it's understandable. There are 4s that are kind of stronger at the moment, have more broken things. In Division 1, she was drafted a couple of times, and usually it was with the 3 or with the Mars. So, okay.
Yeah, what I like about it, though, is that it's something which doesn't really die to the Marcy and Brood. You have these 2 backline killing heroes. You want to make sure you're grabbing a 4 who isn't just going to fold immediately under the pressure. You know, that's why Mirana would have been good, but obviously first band, so another good option
do you
is...
do you just puck here then? Like... If you're
yeah, if it feels that way, doesn't it?
Oh. Is there anything else? There's Puck. There's well, Amber has been banned out there.
Yeah, don't overcomplicate. I mean, you could Void Spirit and like go for the axe or something like that, but it's just pointless. Just go Puck.
Just go Puck and make it easy on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think Puck's the easy one. If they want to have a bit of spice, maybe Kozilek's Invoker wouldn't be too bad for them.
That's also solid. Yeah, like you get that Invoker, it's perhaps a little bit. More combo with the Mars, because you have catch on Meteor Gaming. It's not that terrible, but Puck would make it much simpler for you to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really not sold on this Storm hero. We've seen like 3 games of it over the past few days, and he just keeps losing.
Could they maybe go for Conquer? Gives him a Brood answer as well. I don't know how it goes into Marcy, though. I think it might be pretty bad into Marcy.
Yeah, it doesn't give you enough catch for the Storm either. Like, you already have a bit, but you just want to lay down that extra little bit there, little boop. Okay, all right. It does have a silence, but yeah, not the hero I was hoping for. I'll be honest. What do you think, Lizard?
It changes things a little bit. Maybe he's just not a Puck player, but at the same time, it makes you perhaps a little bit more active. Like there are some objective taking on you. Like one problem for Meteor, like these 4 heroes that they've picked until Lina comes online don't really take towers. With the DP, you get that, so they lack a bit of catch right now, but the volume bar for objective taking went up, so you know it's a trade-off, I suppose.
It is, yeah, and it's trading off a little bit of control for small KK and the Brood as well for a bit of objective taking, but you do want to pressure. You don't want to leave all of the pressuring up to your Lina, so I can kind of understand it in that regard as well. You're just putting way too much pressure on and I think especially in best of ones, that's something to be cognizant about. So I like it. I would have liked the puck more, but I definitely don't like the. I don't dislike the Death Prophet. Am I going to go for Meteor in this game? I think I am. Yeah. I like what they've put down here. Sorry to doubt Poke twice in a row because they are a very good team, but they don't have those comfort picks they were able to fall back on before. What about you, Fluke?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about Lomfer playing a Marcy because we've seen him in the past really like a lot of these hyper carries and these super hardcore late game carries, and Marcy's not it. She likes to play a little bit faster. I think Marcy into the Death Prophet is a good matchup for them. But I think at the end of the day, I'm probably, going to have to go for Meteor here. I think the way they've got a lot of team fight going, they've got the Lena as well. I think it's just a lot simpler for them to win the game and take this one out.
All right, Lizard, final thoughts?
One team has a Marcy carry, the other has a Lena 3, and they're similar in skill. Yeah, you know which way I'm going.
One of these drafts is not like the other. All right, let's find out how Meteor versus Poke is going to go down in the second game of these best of one tiebreakers with Ares and Danog.
Yes, thank you very much, Nomad. All right, here we go. We get to see if momentum can be a pivotal reason for Poke's success in this second series. For them, though, I mean, if they can ride the high, sure, but you let through the Lena. Not only the Lena tree. And I mean, you have to have some big cojones to be in a best of one with your Division 2 lives at stake here, and you let through one of the strongest here right now in the batch. I mean, is that a lot of confidence? Is that a lot of cockiness? What can you kind of put it down to?
Maybe they just felt like they had the answers to it. I mean, we were talking about it during the draft in our little private conversation that there were a lot of answers left available to the Lena, right? Like they could have gone into a Morphling again. They could have gone Slark because they saw that the Mars had been picked up. Marcy kind of feels like a similar sort of one in that regard.
Yep.
My big issue that I'm seeing is that I think this is an amazing Willow game. I agree with Fluke in the talk about the Shadow Demon, but it's a very passive style of hero, right? So I think the Willow just gives them so many kill avenues. I was completely on board with the puck conversation that they were talking about as well, but it would have left them with that big hole in their draft where they don't really push towers all that well. So Death Prophet's going to be able to resolve that. But, I mean, you just have a look at Willow. I still think that their main goal is going to be stopping this Broodmother because Killer was the MVP in my eyes last game. And so it's incredibly important that you look to try and shut him down as much as possible. You've got a Mars that's going to be able to do that just with the arena. And now you can have stuff like Brambles into Spear, into Bedlam, or even just the Cursed Crown with the Aghanim Shard into Bedlam can kill. Because even if you pop the Greaves to be able to get out of that, it still spawns the Brambles around you. Yeah. So you're going to be in this vulnerable state.
Yeah, and I think it's a support that can make Marcy's life really difficult as well. Like, anyone with just an overwhelming amount of control and also just being able to protect yourself inside Shadow Realm too. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of the time Marcy would like to kill those supports because of how important they are inside the team fights in regards to the control and... But for Dark Willow, I mean, you're okay. Like, Marcy doesn't have that AoE damage, so Shadow Realm is going to be a really big issue. And then
they've basically got zero AoE damage outside of this Storm Spirit, right? So yeah, this is certainly set up for Marblu, who I think has been probably Meteor's best player over the entirety of this season. Like, he's been having great performances on his rookie, even in that losing matchup yesterday against Vici. I thought his Tusk was quite good. So let's see if he's able to do it with the Willow.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for them, they're also down their mid laner in Blessing.
Mm-hmm. Well, he had a barbecue to go to, you know, that was the important thing, right? Luke said he was a big fan of sausage. What's your favorite barbecue meat?
The battle begins.
Oh, hold 1 second. Is anyone in a little bit of trouble? It's like just some poke back and forth. Bounties will be a 2-for-2. Look, I'm down for a good gourmet sausage if we're going to add that extra little spice to it just to make it sound even more tasty.
Also, he said it's got 3 different meats in it. What was it? Pork, lamb, and beef or something like that. There's no actual meat in those sausages. Let's be real. You know, it's a mix of all sorts of different things that I'm not sure would qualify as meat.
Well, what would your favorite be?
Maybe kangaroo steak or something?
Oh, I
Marinated?
haven't had kangaroo in a while, but we had it when I was younger a couple of times, and I was a very big fan of it. It was quite tasty.
I mean, with you on your gym kick, you should get into it. It's lean as hell.
I'm spamming chicken right now. I am.
Thigh or breast?
Breast usually. I like some tendies as well.
Oh,
Get the
can't
chicken
go wrong with the
tendies
tendy.
on. No, you cannot go wrong with the chicken tendies. So,
Oh, Ramfu
Yeah,
might be in a little bit of
might be-
danger.
Arceus, can you find the angle for the speed? Unfortunately, still in level 1, so it doesn't have the greatest range to be able to connect onto a tree or a wall. It does bring Molasses out of the lane, so some CS is going to be missed and some free space given over to Lonfair as well, who, of course, as a... Oh, first blood's going to be picked up from Marblue, so was actually still able to chase down the Lich and be able to find the kill, so that's pretty nice considering this Lich has still got 3 Mangos, 3 Tangos, and a Self, so the fact that he's going to go back to base kind of without a pseudo reset for his resources is nice for Meteor. They're going to look to go though. Level 2 is available, so Lonfer instantly pounces on Molasses, and well, the spear is going to be off the mark, so as a result of this, should end up going down, but he's got a Self to play with. Trying to duck into the tree line as well. Lonfer though, continuing with the chase. He's going to be cautious though. Considering about turning his attention back over to the Dark Willow, but Marblue protected with a Shadow Realm. They might go for Molasses again. Rebounds off cooldown if they can find a creep to bounce off to. A lot of damage starting to be accumulated onto the Marcy, so Lonfair's going to be very hesitant now.
It does make your life a little bit challenging, doesn't it? I mean, Mars probably one of the better heroes at being able to... Well, actually, they're going to make it go onto him while he's got that spear and not much mana to play with, so that is a really nice move coming out there from Lonfair, being really aggressive in this lane, making sure to play around the resources that you had to play with there on Molasses.
It's interesting that Lonfer goes for his, at level 3, goes for a point in the sidekick. I've seen a lot of the 1-2 build and then start maxing the sidekick after that. Maybe it feels like because he doesn't have any sustain at the moment. He is sending his courier over to the side shop to buy that ring of health, but yeah,
I think it's
often,
always
if you're
just good.
considering-
Like, just the single point in the sidekick provides a lot, right? The lifesteal doesn't increase that much level on level, so it's just about being able to stay in the lane. And that's what you want against the Mars, right? Mars really suffers against these other heroes
Top
that
lane,
want to stay in
TZ.
lane.
Dream Protector's going to be brought down, and with the burst potential is going to be enough from Aaron and Killer, so beautifully done. I mean, we've seen it's pretty much a consistent thing now whenever you're versing a Dream Protector. Like, you've got to get rid of the trees to limit his kind of impact inside the lane.
It's good for Killer, though, that he's able to pick up that kill. Again, this is not an easy lane to be able to play around with, for sure. But, I mean, every
What's going
little
on
bit...
mid?
Oh, that is a deep dive coming through there.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
We're going to call him Star or YRG? Let's just call him YRG. We'll forget Star.
Yeah, why Archie?
What do you think that stands for?
Yes, red, green.
Yellow, red, green?
Sure. I said yes, but yellow works as well. I mean, that probably sounds, goes a little bit better with the colors. Small KK. Almost going to go down, but not the case. So putting a lot of pressure onto the Storm Spirit early on. 19 and 10 compared to the 12 and 4. Because the one nice thing at the moment is that YRG is not going to have the water rune to be able to refill his mana. So the spam will not continue.
Going to need to have Aaron sit in this mid lane, though. Small KK has been completely harassed out of this lane, so good old yellow, red, green is going to be able to
Yellow.
to be a little bit further ahead. I mean, he's going to have a 500 net worth lead, and he's got boots now to be able to play with. So I guess Small KK will have the resources and a completed bottle to be able to play within this mid lane a little bit, and YRG is a little short on the old mana, so not as much harass, but still, it's another one lane coming through here from Meteor.
Bottom lane, they're going to look to jump on Molasses. Toss back, tries to find the speed target. They won't be able to land it. Looks like it's enough to keep him alive.
So I wonder if they're going to go for right now, like, clarity up on Ranfu and then use the mango onto Lonfair, just so that they can look to go for another one of these kill attempts. I think Ranfu Dao is a little too far forward, especially now that you've got that combination with the spear and the God's Rebuke. I don't think the Rebuke hit there, though. They can definitely look to go for a kill onto Molasses. There's really nothing stopping him. And there we go. Like, they're mangoing him up. That'll mean that Molasses is going to play a little bit more passively, though.
Lina might be in some trouble top lane. No, telekinesis not going to be there. Bottom lane, Ranfu. They're going to be able to chase him down. So
they just went on the same page. Like, I'm sure that Ranfu, if you're using 2 mangoes onto your carry, it's because you want to be able to make a kill happen. And, well, they weren't. He just went back to the lane trying to get a couple of last hits when really the main priority is making sure that this Mars keeps dying, doesn't get his level 6, and opens up the game for the Broodmother.
Oh, look at this. Look at YRG with the invis. Oh, what the hell, man?
That's so cheeky.
Small KK, he wants to leave the lane to try and get
no TP.
The neutrals to provide him the 6, and YRG with the use of the invis is able to scout him out. Beautifully done. Great use of that first Xism. It's something we see pretty often, honestly, with the Storm Spirits. Like, you, from that 5.5 mark, you like to go back and get the 6, and then you'll feel a little bit safer to play the lane. And YRG was able to read that perfectly.
At least Aaron was able to take out the siege creep, so they're not going to be taking too much damage into this tower, but YRG is going to have about a 1k net worth advantage at the 7-minute mark, which is certainly not what you want.
No, not at all. We've seen what the Death Prophet's been able to do as well so far throughout Division 2 when you are given a good game, not even as an offlaner, but even as a mid laner as well. So it'll be very exciting to see how he can continue to put some pressure onto the map. It looks like at the moment, though, Killer seems pretty okay with being left alone.
Oh, for sure.
Do we feel like...
I think he's just
feel
fine.
like this will change anytime soon? Like, would you like the Rubik to come up maybe with, once he has a little bit more spiders, to potentially get a kill into pressure on the tower? Or what are we thinking Aaron can do?
I mean, you can't really make this slow pressure onto the towers when you've got a Treant Protector that you're up against, right? So he's just going to try and stay in that lane for as long as possible, keep the Broodmother shoved away.
Bottom.
Yes, he is.
Look at this out of the Death Prophet, trying to chase down Ranfu at the moment. Lonfair's going to be able to give them some bonus movement speed to escape, but unfortunately, that is not enough to keep the Lich alive. So a pretty big rotation nonetheless, that all they get is a kill onto the Lich, and unfortunately for YRG, wasn't able to find the bounty, so that'll enable Small KK to pick up the double damage
might be
rune.
going for a kill here. I mean, they're maybe waiting for the DP to commit, and, well, with the power treads, maybe they feel like they're going to be able to. Ball lightning available. Living armor, though.
I'm going to go now. He's got 1 charges and a Fairy Fire. It looks like they haven't kind of calculated how much extra sustain YRG can have. It didn't even need to pop any of those.
No. I mean, Leech Seed level 2 is just such a big sustain coming through, and when you've still got as little farm as you do on the Storm Spirit, you're not going to have the ability to just zip around in a lot of these small skirmishes. Aaron's actually come down to the bottom side. They want a quick kill.
And they should be able to find it, although the spear
Nice timing.
pins the Marcy up to the tree. So the first unleash of the game is not going to be able to provide them a kill. And He's going to look to step in as well. Even the arena from Molasses
Well worth it.
holds Aaron inside the walls. They'll get the spear. An easy second kill for them to find. TZ does maybe step up a little bit too far, but the kills give Marblu enough experience for the level 6. Now with the Bedlam chasing down Lonfer. He'll run inside the Bramble. The damage, it's just not enough though. Lonfer, he's going to be able to stay alive, but it looks like Small KK will find the cleanup. So in the end, a 2 for 2. The Treant Protector also went down.
Exo's just run out in the mid lane as well, so YRG is not going to be able to get too much damage into this tower. But again, you're going up against a Lina lineup, and I feel like as long as Lina isn't being constantly pressured, you're okay with it. I mean, YRG continuing to have a really good start to the game. Yes, it's very important that Storm is there to be able to pick up those 2 kills on the bottom side, but I'm assuming this really isn't the start that Marcy has been hoping for. They had a really strong potential for a kill lane, and it just hasn't eventuated.
Yeah, rebound level 1 nowadays, you see the range there.
Yeah.
Last just quick sidestep is like,
There's a couple of times now where that would have secured kills in previous patches, and, well, like you said, not the case anymore.
YRG once again off the back of the Invis rune. able to close the distance onto Ranfu. Even though they don't get the kill onto Marcy, this will importantly shove her out of the lane. So I don't think the Frost Shield's going to be enough, so the Lich will go down. I mean, meanwhile, you see Killer, he's starting to get a little bit of damage into the tier 2 tower top. You've even got Eren soaking up some gold and experience mid lane as well. So at least Poker still finding stuff across the map, even though Marcy's not been able to freely farm towards a Battle Fury.
They are. I think right now all that they're really concerned about is where exactly are they looking to play around, right? They had the glyph to be able to get rid of that siege creep up top. That was their main priority. You can look to take this bottom tower with the siege creep and then still have the exorcism for a push into the mid lane. So I think that's the main priority that Meteor are looking to play around right now. IRG might not even need to use a TP for it. They could just look to make a rotation through the Radiant jungle, maybe try and pick someone off as they're looking to farm, but actually they might find Willow before that.
Very nicely done from Marblu. Just use the Terrorize at the last second. And they're going to be able to zone them away. So tower will go down bottom lane, giving Molasses actually enough gold towards the Blink Dagger. Meanwhile, inside the river, though, a long zip. Small KK is going to be able to close the distance onto YRG, but very similarly to last time, it looks like they're going to be lacking the damage.
Overgrowth.
Lonfer without the Unleash to be able to blow him up, and TZ will find an opening for the Overgrowth, stopping the retreat short as... I mean, when are they going to learn, Denog? This hero on the Death Prophet, you are not an easy man to bring down, and Molasses with the wraparound as well. From bottom to mid, the Mars goes, utilizing the arena as soon as it comes off cooldown to grant them another kill.
Yeah, 4 for 1. Still haven't even used the Exo, right? So maybe you can look to use this to push into a tier 2. Maybe you take the tier 1 top. Maybe you start even to threaten Roshan a little bit to allow that Lena to farm a little bit further forward. She's got the boots of travel next, so you know that she's going to be roaming around the map. I'm a little surprised that Killer didn't look to put more pressure up onto this top lane while all of that was happening. You committed every single hero on the Dire side to be able to get that successful team fight going your way, and you didn't get anything in response to it, especially against a Treant Protector who now has the freedom to be able to go back to this lane and just put the living armor onto the tower. They don't even have a single point in the Nature's Grasp either, so this tower is really vulnerable to not actually having the wave pushed out. Another Bedlam onto the Marcy. Oh.
And potentially another
Can
kill
he,
as
though?
well. Lonfer's actually able to turn it back around. A lot of life still coming off the back of that. They've got the Laguna Blade ready to try and cut away the health. Molasses jumps over the top, and now is able to turn it onto the Lena as well. Simultaneously, though, mid lane. All right. I mean, we're seeing they've even tried 4 heroes to bring down the Death Prophet, and this time all they needed was 3.
Because Treant's priorities were elsewhere, right? He was looking to try and get some kills. You didn't have the Terrorize to be able to push her away. Actually going for a little decent level zip here. Marblu coming for a bit of the save.
This could be scary. They've got Arena and Terrorize at the ready. Marblu,
Stolen.
oh, they stole the Arena, though. Beautifully done from Eren with the quick fingers. They're still going to get a little bit of damage out of the combination. Exo popped on the outskirts, and YRG, kind of a unforced Exo usage there, not even really needing that Death Prophet ultimate, so a pretty heavy commitment in the end, and all they get as a reward is the Broodmother kill.
Is still pretty important that you take out that Brood, right? All that Lena needs is space to be able to farm. You know that she can take this once you get to the super late stages. She's actually going into a Gleipnir instead of any sort of like BKB to be able to protect against the lift, from the Storm Spirit from zipping in, from the rebound landing in onto her, and all that stun damage that they've got. Maybe just realizing that TZ has been playing pretty well so far, constantly in the right position to be able to get that Overgrowth save, quick on the fingers for the living armor. We'll see if it ends up working out for her, because it's pretty important that you lock them in place as well. Nice team play, though, from Lonfer. Making sure he's able to save his Lich.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Oh.
No Kaya.
Vicario? Yeah. Right, 1 minute 40 without the completed Kaya from Small KK, so it's going to continue to slow his game down, who's really taken a hit in the net worth. I'm kind of surprised there's only about 500 behind the Death Prophet, but meanwhile, I mean, everything you'd ever expect from Alina. Like, she is well and truly top of the net worth, 3-0 and 4. They've only started to kind of pressure her own junglers. Actually, bottom speaking about the jungle, Killer. Looking to try and play with Eren's Rubik. Marblu will be successful with his TP out. The Cursed Crown kind of being able to cover that. They're setting up on top lane. Lonfer's going to be in some trouble. TZ will use the overgrowth from afar, and that's where Lean is able to come into play to provide the damage. So beautifully done from these two members.
A little far forward. Sure, they didn't have the tower to be able to play around with, but you typically know where a Treant Protector is going to be setting himself up. If they're not going for any sort of ganks, he's probably going to be hanging around this top side, the dead lane, if you will. And, well, now, even with that that Marcy being in the grave, you can look to have Lina be the one to push this one out a little bit. Even if Storm made the zip forward, still got the save coming through from the Leech Seed, from the Living Armor. So you'd say they're fairly satisfied right now on Meteor with the early portions of this game. I mean, it's not quite double, but it's pretty damn close to it in terms of the position 1 net worth. Lonfair doesn't feel anywhere near as confident on this Marcy when you compare it to what he was able to accomplish in that late game on the Faceless Void. And you have to think of the outplay potential once it gets to those late stages, right? Marcy isn't like a Faceless Void where you can just turn around an entire game off of the back of the Chronosphere.
Smoke up, they're going to run into Killer. Molasses more than happy with utilizing the arena only onto the Broodmother. As with YRG nearby, they're going to have plenty of damage to bring him down. You'd hope they get more out of it though. YRG did he pop? Okay, he used silence. YRG popped the Exo with only a little bit of, well, under 100 experience needed to get that second point in the exorcism. So a little unfortunate for them, but looks like they won't even get kind of any more follow-up damage out of it.
Again, it's important that you lock out this Brood, right? All that they're worried about is protect the
They see the Lina under the ward.
They do indeed.
If he's next to the neutrals as well, Renfu might be able to get some decent damage out of the Chain Frost. They'll use it the last second. And unfortunately, the Living Armor is not enough. Oh, Marblu, he thought he over-zipped. Didn't just walk up before the usage of it. And Molasses is too late as well for the spears. So poke it out with murder. Everyone is unscathed from that attempt.
Very, very important to stop this Lina from scaling. They might even be able to pick off a Mars as well, or at the very least, force some of these spells out to enable Killer to go in deep. I mean, this is a very heavily committed Broodmother. I think he wants to take advantage of the fact that he can only do this for the next little bit.
Onto Marblu, they're going to look to target. The Terrorize not there, but Molasses. Okay, a beautiful spear onto 2 with the overgrowth follow-up as well, but where's the damage? The Crypt Swarm at the last second helps and brings down the cause. Beautifully done from Molasses, finds the ankle to lay the spear down. He's going to miss this time onto Aaron. Does have the arena if he wants to use it, but we'll think otherwise.
Not worth it for a Rubik at that stage, and well, that's, again, it's important that they just shut out this Broodmother, right? Lina wasn't part of most of that. She was able to get a little bit of the pick off towards the end, but she just wants jungle to be able to farm, and this is the advantage of playing on the Dire side. This is the second game in a row, actually, that Poke have actually won the coin toss, and they've chosen to play on the Radiant side. And, well, they are just saying on Meteor, all right, well, we're going to farm. We pick a hero that does it amazingly in the Lina, and then we're just going to sit back and she's going to become this unstoppable beast once it gets to the late game. Like we were mentioning before, she's got the Gleipnir. She can kind of play a little bit like a Nature's Prophet, right? With the Boots of Travel, joining in onto almost any single team fight. Drop the abilities to be able to lock in place this Storm Spirit, this Broodmother, force out perhaps an earlier Greaves. That means you can overgrowth on the back of that. Like, I'm really liking the way that Meteor are playing this game so far.
And we'll see if that can continue off the back of the smoke. Killer will be able to pop TZ's location, so at least get confirmation of the Treant Protector. Lena's even going to look to reveal her positioning as well.
I think they just need to wait for the BKB on the Storm before they can look to make anything happen.
Oh, who do they want to jump? Molasses off to the right side. Finds Killer, but the spear's going to be off the mark. The follow-up, Aaron's going to be able to try and disrupt that with the telekinesis, sending the Lina up to the sky. 2 fights breaking out simultaneously, but it's going to be Dire that are happy to start, but not unless YRG goes down and Terrorize to buy him some time. Bloodfirst's going to jump into the middle, but again, the LSA protecting YRG. It'll get stolen, but it will not be enough to keep Lonfair alive.
All 3 cores going down there. It costs just a glyph as well, so not going to get any sort of tower damage done through, but I don't know. Feels like it's a really awkward situation as TZ, unfortunately. A split second short of being able to get that last little bit of the ward coverage, but they're actually going to look to try and go into Roshan with the last little remnants of the Exo, and I don't blame them, although this is a maxed out LSA that Aaron was able to steal, so can he look to make the hero play here? He's got the Blink Dagger.
She wasn't able to time it. And I look at Meteor, they're continuing on inside. They've got to be cautious, so the ultimates, they are on cooldown. This could be a decent fight for Radiant. Marblu running towards Renfu to start. They want to turn their attention towards Alina. Small KK in combination with Killer is going to be able to deal with the first life. Can they set up for round 2? Looks like they will be able to do so with ease. Held into place. A jump on forward from Lonfer as well, and just too over-aggressive it looked like after the ages.
I mean, that was 3 Rubik Light Strike arrays from another suburb that he was able to just cast it from, not putting himself anywhere near the dangerous points. And I mean, this is why you don't max out Light Strike Array against a Rubik. He's going to be able to steal it. One of probably the best spells that he can have. 7-second cooldown for such a huge range on that stun is really significant.
Yeah, we've seen this honestly too many times now, Danog. I'm quite surprised that it's still continuing to go on.
Yeah, I don't hate leveling up the Dragon Slave if you feel like you need it to be able to, like, that's how you farm, that's how you're comfortable with it, but not Light Strike. It's way too strong.
Yep. We've just seen so far what Aaron's able to do off the back of that, and we also, I mean, you got to keep in mind of the previous...
Wait, they found TZ? Maybe? Oh, actually, didn't drop the
He's going to run into a sentry now, so I'll know his location. That was very awkward kind of sequence of events there, but Aaron's able to get the D-Ward as well on top of that, so pretty happy. Rubik now picks up the tome, so probably off the back of that, it's going to be towards his level 12. Meanwhile, Killer is getting a lot of damage in the T1 tower down bottom, and in fact, he's going to be able to find it. So, I mean, Daniel, we saw what happened in the previous series. Poke were down very early on, and then they were able to find a way back into this game. And I know we're not at like that grave stage just yet, but it's pretty close to it. What you said, it was 10%, right? Was the high, so the lowest it was for Poke. I mean,
it went down to 8 this game.
Yeah, it went down to 8. So this is very similar of our previous series.
But the difference is, I feel like Lonfer was still farming somewhat in that one. He's only just starting to recover now with that Battle Fury picked up. He's still 1,000 gold away from being able to get that BKB for himself and provide a little bit of save for the overgrowth in particular.
Well, smoke on smoke.
I like the way they're
turning
moved,
point,
right? They're also half covering the Marcy with that rotation, right, towards the top side.
Smoke's gonna pop. Inside the tree line, they'll be able to catch out Killer. Aaron nearby to try and disrupt, but unfortunately, they will not be able to do so. Back inside the lane, though, they've also caught up the Lina. BKB just got delivered. Is it gonna be enough to keep it alive? It's not. Lina will go down, and the Storm Spirit, the TP gets cancelled thanks to the overgrowth.
He's got a zip, though.
Now, he's still got plenty of mana to be able to play with, though, so Storm will be able to zip away. But unfortunately, Ranfu, well, he will not have the same capability.
Really want to see Aaron pick up an Aghanim Shard here. It's not going to be amazing at being able to deal with things like the Spear, for example, but it's going to be able to get you out of things like the Bedlam. It's going to get you away from the Light Strike Array combination. But more importantly, it's great against this Death Prophet. It's great with Mars if you've been able to steal the Spear, which he has a couple of times. Even makes that Cursed Crown very effective as well. I think Aaron's been playing the best this game so far, to be honest. I know they're behind, but he's 0, 2, and 4. Kind of odd to say, but I just feel like his positioning has been on point in almost every single one of these team fights has broken out.
And we've already spoken about all the abilities that Aaron's able to steal this game. So the fact that he's being able to keep up in farm as well means that we could start to see a lot more impact as this game goes on.
Almost able to land that spear as well. It is against a Treant with the Nature's guys. He's level 14 on Treant Protector. That is quite high.
Top lane, Lonfer, does he look for the solo kill?
He would need to commit the BKB. That's the thing.
And meanwhile, Molasses off to the other side of the map. Commits the arena to try and catch up to Ranfu, but not going to be the case. So we haven't really seen Poke be the aggressor so far this game. Do we feel like now with the BKB, they might look to try and make a play?
Oh, absolutely, especially with that arena being on cooldown as well, right? That's all that you're wanting. Looks like they might be able to get a quick kill. Good fingers. But I mean, that's another big cooldown expended. Probably didn't need to be able to play around that middle lane to push it out. Right there on top of it, you knew that they were in the general vicinity.
And I have a really good ward at the triangle to work with, though, so they might still consider about sticking around.
Yeah,
they see Killer and small
duration.
KK. There's so much information for them on this push if they want to try and use it.
Top tower is under attack.
Looks like the pings are coming out. They're kind of aware of the positioning.
Well, that'll give information about it.
Though. They're going to try and target down with the Rubik at the moment. Laguna Blade instantly gets rid of the help, but they've got to respect the chain force bouncing back and forth. The damage is starting to rack up, but Marcy didn't pop. BKB enters the team fight into an instant stun. That item you were hoping was going to turn this game around, unfortunately results in them losing another team fight.
And that was with the Arcane Rune popped as well with the Exorcism, so you're going to have a nice juicy creep wave here hitting into the tower. Frost Shield, for now, looking to try and repel it. They could use the Glyph, though. I'd be very surprised if they didn't, and yeah, just wanting to protect their own creep wave as well. Get double the impact out of that one, not just pushing the lane out. I like the... Ooh,
They're going to go for YRG.
he is kind of solo here.
That he is. Marbler's going to try and close the distance now. Breeze will be activated. Doesn't have too many targets to look to use the Spirit Siphon with, but it looks like he's going to be okay. So BKB forced, all things considered. I mean, you're very happy with Dire.
Yeah, for sure. I like when Meteor went for that attempt as well, right? They did it just as that Observer Ward was about to expire.
Radiant's top
Oh, he
tower
jumped
is
into the
under
bramble. Just saw that fight back.
Yep.
Jumped into the bramble. Didn't pop BKB. Did have a bit of a time. Maybe was caught off guard.
under attack.
Long zip in. Who they caught out? Small KK onto Molasses. BKB's coming up in 5 seconds here for the Mars. TZ's going to try and protect him as well. Living armor, is it enough? No way. Molasses stays alive. Killer's going to try and show up as well, but they're not on top of the Lina. The Chain Frost once again bouncing back and forth. Lina's going to be able to stand strong under the cover of the BKB. They're doing such a great job to kite the Marcy, but they haven't addressed small KK. He's still got a little bit more mana pool to play with, a zip on forward to get their second kill.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, Overgrowth was up in just another second or two. They might have looked to commit that one, but they just didn't have the follow-up right. Mars was away, looking to get into his next item. He's holding on to a lot of gold, actually, on Molasses. I wonder if he's just going to go straight for that refresher, or if it's going to be another item before then. Maybe a Lotus, just to prevent the Sinister Gaze from coming through.
Radiant's bottom
Seen
tower is under attack.
a lot of people start to consider about disassembling the Arcane and going to Aether Lens. I think Hex is even something he could be considering as well for the instant jump onto the Storm, the Marcy as well. It's cool. He's near the secret shop. I'm very intrigued what he wants to... Oh.
Man wants to carry. It's a good way to be able to burst out if he goes into... It's actually Satanic. Okay. Not even wanting the overwhelming blink, maybe to deal with those Broodmother Spiderlings a little easier.
It's... You just want to be as tanky as possible for the Lina, right?
Is under attack.
It's a fake name. It's Amar truly behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just to tank up for the Lina, right? Like, that's the main thing he wants this.
For sure. I mean, what else can you really look to break out of? Do they have any silence? Nothing really, I guess, unless you're considering like the Silken Bowler to be able to walk away a little bit easier. Plenty of units to be able to Satanic God's Rebuke off, right? If the Spiderlings are in a team fight, it'll just bring you from like 1% to 100 pretty quickly.
Yeah. We're going to see smoke out of the boys on Dire. Meteor looking to try and path their way across the map. They might run into the duo supports on Poke.
They're just going to go straight
Killer's in a great spot. Meanwhile, they're just actually going to try and bring down the Train Protector before a fight breaks out.
But they take this so quickly.
Let's see if they're going to get in the neighborhood fast enough. Killer can maybe scout this, but Roche, it's going to go down before they're even close enough. So Molasses, he denied the Aegis. Oh no, Aegis got denied. They're going to try and take the fight. Jump over towards Killer. The Broodmother soaking up plenty of damage, and they know the Lina has no Aegis. So they're just going to try and target down the main damage source, blowing her up. And now Lonfer, he might have a free fight, but Small KK, he will not have the same fate. The Storm Spirit chased down in the end, a 2 for 2, and whoa, what a weird sequence of events.
Yeah, it was even the Lina just taking away that Aghanim shard as well, which I feel like would have been a pretty good pickup for the Death Prophet. Lina doesn't really get that big benefit from it as well, and I mean, we were just talking about before, Molasses with the purchase or the quick buy of the Satanic. Maybe it's Amar, but he's looking a little bit more like KOYXY with that Aegis Deny.
Oh no.
This is why you don't A-click inside of the Roche pit.
That's...
He was able to land a decent enough arena and stun onto the Broodmother once again. And they were able to find that pick off onto it, but that's not what you want. You want this Lina to continue scaling. This was your big source to be able to go up onto the high ground.
Yeah, so you say there was a decent arena. I wonder if you have to now consider about actually only arenaing near the Lina, because we saw exactly what happened. Like, yes, it clipped the Broodmother, but there was 4 other people that were completely free just to fly at the Lina. So maybe you need to use it in an aspect where it's going to force them to BKB if they need to run through it to get to her location.
Sure, but they were still able to burst her down quickly enough, and you have to consider, like, Storm's able to zip in, Marcy as well, just hit the rebound onto her, and Lina wasn't able to use the BKB before she died. So
Yep.
I feel like Mars Arena probably isn't going to change too much of that. Like, if you find the Lina and you can get onto her, a BKB is going to do nothing, because you're going to be standing right next to her anyway.
Well, this is a pretty huge item now for Small KK. It's a Scepter completed, and I mean, we could see some devastating combos come out from the boys on Poke. You've got the Marcy rebound into the middle with the AoE damage. You've got the Chain Frosted bounce back and forth. And your potential spear onto 2 heroes. Speaking about Aaron, it's been trouble. We'll get the spear away. Lonfer actually wants to jump in. Oh, that's an awkward timing into the overgrowth, and meanwhile back inside the lane, Killer and YRG having a little battle between each other, but no one's going to come out on top.
Well, Satanic's finished up, and he's going into the overwhelming blink now, so man wants to be strong as hell with all that strength gain coming through on Molasses.
Oh, they get killed. Oh, no, what? Speed just off the mark. Molasses will try and stand strong off the back of the Satanic.
I don't know if you kill Killer.
Lina just 2 hits the Rubik, and now it's going to look to enter with a glide. They're setting up for the LSA. Oh, they make quick amends of what occurred around the Roche pit as the boys are Meteor. An incredibly well executed fight from them. They'll get a tier 2, and they're probably going to look to go high ground as well.
Why not? I mean,
the gem?
you're able to get Courier. Gem is... I don't know where
It was
the
on
gem
the
is.
other courier.
Ah, okay.
I thought it was on the one that he just killed.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I mean,
Big
they're
coin of
just-
Storm can get it if he wants to reveal his positioning.
I mean, you're losing your racks in the meantime. Yeah, sure, you take away that from... He's not going to be able to get that Satanic for the next 3 and a bit minutes, but...
Radiant's middle
Oh,
barracks is
he
under
briefly TP'd back, but then he decided to stay afterwards. That's a couple of TPs that they've actually expended to be able to potentially try and defend. Small
look at
KK
bottom.
shouldn't be in that much of a worry, though.
under attack.
5 seconds to overgrowth was... What?
He has the root from the Ags.
Oh, no way.
Overgrowth.
Oh, TZ, what are they? They're crumbling, Denold. I thought it was Dire that were crumbling.
You know, it was just one thing. You know, one thing that just didn't work out.
Oh, it's a pretty
too well
big
that
thing.
way.
Come on.
It
Come
is.
on,
It
it's a
is.
pretty-
But they were too far ahead at that stage anyway. Even before that fight, it was like, I want to say 14k. And yeah, well, that 8% win probability, it's shrunk all the way back down to 2%. It really feels like they haven't made use of any of their small timings that they've had to come through with. If Storm's able to get level 20 with that little bit of extra duration on the Electric Vortex, it also provides you a little bit of coverage for the Dark Willow as well. The Shadow Realm isn't this area of safety for you. You could still look to lock her down during that, but yeah, I just feel like this draft hasn't come together as well. And what I really like from Meteor is that they've identified this Broodmother as being the thing that's going to be able to break open the map to prevent Lina from being able to pick up a lot of this farm and play a lot more passively. I mean, how many times have they actually gone for a smoke attempt that's came off inside of like Lina's main farming areas? like once, maybe.
Yeah.
She's got Rapier queued up, but I doubt it. The Lina.
I too doubt it.
Maybe
They're
it's just a bit of
trolling us.
memes, you
Please
know?
like to do that. Yeah, no. They love to troll casters. I have no confirmation of this, but I just, this is something I'm imagining. You just like to queue up some random shit, and you just want us to talk about Rapier for the next couple of minutes, and all of a sudden you just change, and you're like, well, all right, well, they're not going Rapier.
I'd just go
They're
AC
going for a
if I
fight,
was
though.
him.
It's pretty decent position before Dire have territory of the triangle.
And before he has Satanic.
Lena's going to get caught on the low ground as well. They're
they
actually
chain
not going
stun
to
him?
try and start on. They're going to go for the Death Prophet instead. One first damage. Is it actually even going to be enough? It's going to turn towards with a jump over. They're on the Lina. It might be enough. A big kill for them to find. And now they're already trying to chase down more as well. But do they want to turn it back around? Molasses standing strong, but he won't have YRG to combine with.
Oh.
Oh. Whoa.
Everyone but YRG getting affected by that one. He
He
was a team house thing. What's up?
He should be able to get away. He's got Blink up. And
He's got
Small
Blink.
KK's...
And Greaves, and he's
Just
about to
starting.
silence Small KK.
You'll
He's
probably look to
mid-cast
cancel that Blink
silence.
away, right?
Probably.
TP up. How much mana is Small KK? Oh, he's got plenty to probably chase him down. Where'd he go? What's Molasses got as well? I don't know. What do? You get the kill on Renfu? Spear?
Do you just drop
Spear's
Arena?
probably- Sure,
Arena and run?
Spear, Arena, and... Yeah?
I mean, Lena's got 180 gold for buyback. She's not going to be able to get it. So I think that, Arena's got a pretty similar downtime to it. The lanes are all shoved in pretty fast, so you're not going to get your own high ground sieged. I think you can, drop that down, get a kill, TP out, would be the play.
Okay. So, finally, men, we've seen what this Marcy can do versus Lina. Like, a lot of people have theorized that this is kind of a nice counter. We've spoken a lot of, like, the carry matchups, just to list a few, Ursop, Slark, but we haven't seen the Marcy be able to fulfill that role. A big reason why is just because she had her horrific lane and has really struggled to catch back up with all the dash she's had across the map. But like, finally, it might be turning around. We really just saw, like, the power that Marcy can have, especially with Blink now. It's going to make it that much easier for her positioning to be able to get on top of the Lina. And she got blown up from 4-0. So how do Dire... Is this a concern? Am I like over worrying things at the moment? Because it's a 22,000 net worth lead and it's a 1% chance. Like, do they need to be worried about the Marcy right now, or are they still okay?
I think they're still okay. Like I said, lanes are in a really good spot. They're not going to be able to get any main objectives. There's no Roshan to be able to take. And that was just a position where Lina went too far forward on her own. Most of the time, it's going to be Death Prophet going in first. It's going to be Mars going in first. And she still didn't have that Satanic. It's just been respawned on the Courier, I believe. She would have been able to turn around and fight if she just pops that BKB and starts to man fight. So I think it's just a singular case of poor positioning.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the Google Translate going on here before the chat, by the way.
I appreciate that. I was just about to ask if you could do us a...
Well, Ranfu
Favorites.
is basically asking Yellow, Red, Green why he didn't drop as well. He said, don't know. And Aaron's just saying, what's the situation? And, well, I think we're just still waiting and seeing what the situation is. We hope that this is not going to be another one of these instances where, pause time eventually runs out. Because look at the lead. It's a 22k net worth lead. This is in the bag for Meteor if they're just able to close it out. Poke would be... They were able to grab victory from the jaws of defeat in game number 1, coming back from a 10% win probability. And, it's probably not the way that they would like to do it, but if they're able to get a default win, that guarantees themselves with staying in the division. And then it would be Meteor and Cloud fighting it out. But... We'll end up seeing what happens.
That would be truly devastating. I think I cannot remember if it was C or China where I saw that happen. I think it was... I actually don't know. It happened really recently. Okay. One where they were up and then...
It wasn't Poke against Meteor as well, was it? I kind of feel like it was.
Oh, man. When was their series? Let's see. Someone's going to help us. Poke versus Cloud.
Yeah.
Oh, Panel, what would we do without you?
Thank you,
Guys are the
Penel.
best. Penel. Minus Lizard, he didn't help us. Screw that guy.
Penelope, that's what we like to call the panel.
Penelope. Hey, Denog. We got a major starting soon, man.
We do.
This is a exciting time for Dota. I mean, every time the major comes around, it gets closer and closer. Like a couple days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. I'm like, holy shit, we're about to see some of the best Dota we'll get in months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how people are going to be able to answer the Lena. I mean, again, I think it was something that was talked about during yesterday's broadcast. Europe spams that Batrider. China does not.
Yeah.
We'll see if the Div 1 teams are going to be able to adapt to that, how quickly they're going to be able to do so. I'm keen to see how C is going to be able to respond as well, because Southeast Asia, I would say, has probably looked like one of the weaker of the regions, but we've seen how quick they are to be able to change on the fly mid-tournament. So we will see how it ends up turning out. While we have these DCs, though, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back as soon as the players hopefully look to reconnect.
All right, lads.
It's
We are
on
back
pause.
with probably not the greatest news that we could give. Unfortunately, we're doing this one 1v5.
He's been playing pretty
It's
well.
tough scenes out here.
YRG, but yeah, even this kind of seems like a little bit too far for him, doesn't it? Oh, we see one
Yeah.
back. Willow's back.
Oh.
2v5, winnable.
Well, maybe that's a good
You
sign.
just doubled
then,
your
if they're all-
chances.
Sure. If they're all boot camp minus the stand-in, then maybe the others are coming back shortly. Pog,
Pog.
maybe. I mean, look, all right, what would you just be running down mid right now? Like, are we happy with him farming jungle? Like,
I don't think they're not farming that much of the jungle, right? Like, it just hit the 37-minute mark, so I think maybe they were wanting a few of these neutral items coming through, but all other lanes are being pushed in at the time. They're even just popping the Unleash to be able to try and take this top side as quickly as possible. I wouldn't hate seeing him pivot into something like an AC on, honestly, any of these heroes.
Oh my god, let's see if they get a... Dude, watching the fight back is a little bit unlucky for them. Production, what are you trying to do to the lads? That's so mean.
Oh, feels
What?
bad. Feels
Just
bad.
let him soak in it.
And then the
Oh my.
unpause and the death. Oh,
Tower is under attack.
cold
There's no
as
mercy.
ice. It's a really quick Roche respawn as well, 20 seconds away, so you can probably look to put this Lich illusion inside of the pit if you want that little bit of information. All right, Marblu, I've been talking you up all series. You're 6-4 and 20. Can you do it? Honestly, I mean, YRG as well has been looking real solid. Oh, it's even the Aghanims on the Roshan. So they're going to know if Killer just steps inside, but maybe they're just wanting to... You know, if you've got an opening... Oh. Sportsmanship pause. I'm getting it out, don't worry.
For the dead.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking to go into this Roche fight right now, and, well, looks like it's, then once again, popping the Unleash for it. It's very well worth it, right? Again, they've got the outnumber. They're going to be able to... Oh, okay, never mind. I thought that was Storm on the dire side, but never mind. It is going to be the Aghanim's Blessing picked up by, I would assume, the Marcy. She's got it in her backpack right now, but just having that Dispel for the Unleash is going to be very effective against... In particular, the Overgrowth. It means that you can afford to pop that BKB, dive in super deep, and then look to try and force a response, still have that way to be able to break out of it and continue pushing on forward. But, you know, again, Molasses, while he has reconnected, he's just sitting inside the base for now. So, we'll see if... maybe he's using the Lina instead as the main priority. That is still the main damage dealer for now.
When he's hyping himself up. That's what he's doing. He's hyping himself up, trying to get ready, trying to get the Mojo Dome for what he needs to do. This is wild. This is actually crazy. This is 2,000 net worth lead. Where'd everything go? Who got the scepter?
Marcy.
Okay. Oh, but that's
Yeah.
that's
pretty
really big. That is a very, very big scepter.
Oh, and you've even got a Bloodthorn now on the Storm.
Oh god, man. How
Now,
do you
it
do
turns
this?
out all you need is just 5 minutes of the enemy team doing nothing, and then you're able to bring back a net worth disadvantage.
Wow. Crazy. I'll let my teammates know that when we are down in pubs.
Yep.
That is exactly what I will say to them. You got a regen as well for the Storm Spirit, so it's gonna be love and life to refresh. And media, we are not leaving.
They are
our
literally
base.
not moving. They are not moving
Yeah.
in base, even though 3 of them are reconnected. Well, never mind, YRG. Moving forward a little bit, just trying to use that Crypt Swarm whenever he can.
So what's going on right now? For what the only thing I can possibly think in their minds is that they do not want to go high ground and they're waiting, like, out of respect.
I guess.
I mean, like, why are they not going?
Maybe they feel like, all right, we can get to level 25, and then it's going to be even more of a certainty. Storm Spirit's only about a level or so away.
Radiant are scanning.
Just being able to have that overload attack bounces with the Aghanim Shard that he's picked up for himself. He's nearly got the full Kyron Sange.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Things are looking dire for Dire, that's for sure.
They are indeed. It's all right. There we go. T2 tower and.
I think this is just like, look, we can only delay this for so long, right?
Long
like,
enough,
we've taken
yeah.
all the outer towers. You got to try and defend this somehow. TZ, I think that was a box drag and just bringing them back to the base. They're not even using the living armor on the Treant Protector to be able to slow this one down.
And the comms must be so sad right now for the boys on Meteor.
Mm-hmm. They had it.
God.
They had it in the bag. 2%.
They did.
1%.
Two? I think it was one. Yeah.
This is why I always say you got to leave it at 1% win probability. This sort of thing can happen. It's bad luck. Most of the time we're used to it being Australian or Sea Internet being the cause, but well, they're going to be able to get a kill onto Marblu. I mean, we don't know what his ping's like as well. He might be reconnected, but on like 500 ping.
Yeah. Like, no one else is moving. Oh, God. This is the worst way you could do it. And it's not going to feel rewarding for them as well.
No.
I mean, one last defense, but on Fur, he's got plenty of damage. I'll send YRG back. One T4 is down. The next is going to go down as well. And they're not even going to try and defend. No micro plays, no last second attempt. Poke. They're going to take it. Back-to-back series for them. They're going to be sticking around in Division 2.
They will indeed, and it's just going to be the one round of tiebreakers guaranteed. Hopefully for Meteor, it's going to be them being able to find an alternative solution for what they could do to be able to fix this one. Because, again, they were looking solid. It's going to result in a showdown between them and Cloud as to who ends up staying, who ends up being relegated. Maybe they can quickly find their way to get to an internet cafe if it is just a thing with their boot camp. But something's got to happen. I want to see this series play out. It would be such a shame to see such a solid team just bow out in this sort of manner when, I mean, we were all thinking that they were probably the favorites to be able to come out of this in the first position, but instead it's going to be Poke.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next. It really felt like coming into today with the tiebreakers that Meteor were probably the strongest team out of the three, and unfortunately for them, now you're going up against a team who in Cloud are in some... They're starting to pick up some form as well. Like, again, they were beating Poke. They almost had that game. We saw what they can do when CSJ gets a hero he's comfortable on, when Butterfly Effect is on a hero he's comfortable on as well. Keep in mind, of course, they were able to demolish LBZS. So, I mean, if we have a 5-on-5 in the next game, what is just the mindset of going to be for Meteor as well? Like, they are going to be really drained after this possibility of, I mean, they just lost a game that they had a 1% chance. So it's unfortunate scenarios. In the end, it's going to be Poke that will be sticking around.
You just got to go back to it and say, look, we lost the game. It sucks. Shit happens. If we win the next game, we're good, right? Let's reset. There's nothing we can do about the past. Our destiny is still in our hands. We don't need to wait for any other results to go our way. So rinse, repeat. Let's see what they're able to do because, again, performance was really good in the first 30 minutes of that game. So we'll see what the panel has to say about it. But for Poke, congratulations on them staying in Div 2. We'll see what we have for the rest of the day.
Eesh. Ah, man, a bit of an oofy-doofy here in the Div 2 qualifying, elimination tiebreakers, man. Sometimes it just be like that. Sometimes the hamster stops running, the wheel stops turning, the internet goes down, and once again, Meteor are able to get themselves an L here. And Poke get themselves the win, and 2 wins in a row means that tiebreakers will be ending today. In which way? Well, we're going to find out in the next series. Hopefully, we're going to find out in the next game at least. That is, of course, if we can get Meteor back online as soon as possible. Hopefully, they can sort that out. But Lizard, I mean, how does that feel? I mean, you can even see on Poke's faces, right? Like they were bummed.
Of course they are, right? Like no one likes to win in this sort of a way, in this fashion, because they were losing. Like Poke knew that they were out. They really did not have this game in the bag, but it is what it is. Meteor, unfortunately, they had internet connection issues, or I'm not sure what exactly happened, but they got DC'd. Did this happen to them already once? It happened to some team.
They won the series against Cloud
Yeah.
because Cloud DC'd and they couldn't finish that series off.
Oh, so they won the series because Cloud DC'd.
Yep.
Poke did, yeah. So this has happened
Poke did.
for Poke twice, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, some kind of aura of bad internet. I didn't realize that was an item you could buy, but
Yeah, it's a good
no.
item.
Oh, it's in the
Moment.
replay package, man. Oh no.
Whew. I mean, it's the most important part of the game, so I'm kind of here for it. People need to know what happened, and that's what happened. And yeah, as you can see, those stats doesn't look like a winning team, and they weren't really. But sometimes Lady Luck, the gods of fate, roll the dice in your favor, and Poke get the 2-0 in these tiebreakers, which means it will be Meteor playing up against the side of Cloud as our final matchup here, assuming Meteor can get back online. We'll give you guys more information when we have it. Of course, it can be a little bit difficult in this region because we get all our information through Perfect World, which then has to come through PGL as well. So it's a bit of Chinese whispers, so to speak. But when we get the information, we will let you guys know and update you either in here or in the chat. About what we know about Meteor's situation. I just hope they get back online and they're able to actually fight for their position here in Div 2, because if they can't, that's just really sad. That would be really, really sad. Any closing thoughts before we throw it to a break, guys?
Absolute stinker. What a annoying way for Meteor to lose that game. I really do feel bad for them. I really do.
Extremely unfortunate. I've been in the same exact position. I know how it feels. I hope they bounce back strong.
I hope so as well. That's all we can hope for. We are going to throw it over to a break. Then we're going to be back with the final game of this tiebreaker series, an elimination best of one between the sides of Meteor and Cloud, hopefully. We'll see you guys in a bit. Hello and welcome back to the Chinese Division 2, where we are now into our third and final game of the tiebreakers, which is going to decide who's going to be eliminated, except that's not quite the case here. You see, in game number 2, unfortunately Meteor had some connection problems and they had to disconnect from the game. They had to try to play on with just 2 players, but couldn't do so and ended up losing out, thus securing Poke the top position, but we still need to find out who's going to be disqualified from Division 2. Now, one would imagine that it's probably going to be Meteor as they can't get reconnected, but something else happened, didn't it, Fluke?
Yeah, something interesting happened. So after game number 1, where Cloud had a pretty tenuous back and forth game between them and Poke, they decided they had enough of Division 2 and they decided to forfeit their final series up against Meteor. And now it's kind of funny because unfortunately for them, they could have literally fallen over the line and stayed in Division 2. But instead, they chopped their own legs off and didn't even want to look at the finish line.
Probably one of the weirdest scenarios that I've ever heard in Dota. First, because Poke goes through on 1%, like 1%
The
win
1%
probability.
comeback.
1% comeback because of the disconnect, right? And now, like, there was that 1% chance that what Cloud goes through as well, if only they didn't give up already. Like, but
Yep,
they did.
exactly.
Yeah.
They fumbled the bag. They fumbled the bag hard. Like they forfeited after their game, so they gave up their spot. All they needed to do was just not rage quit.
Yes.
not rage quit, and they would have had a free pass to stay in Division 2. But I guess there's a moral somewhere around here. A moral about not giving up, of fighting till the last moment. But it's just funny. It's just funny, to be quite frank with you guys. It's Div 2 in a nutshell, and a bit of a shame. But hey, at least Meteor get to stay in, because it would have been really, really sad if they got eliminated this way. So, there's a happy side to the story, and that's that Meteor get to stay in Division 2, even though they were obviously going to beat Team Poke, I would say, and it was just the disconnect which messed them up. But they still get to live. They still get to live.
Call it bro code. Yeah. or call it Cloud bro code. They're like, no, Meteor, you guys deserve that win.
You
We'll
guys
give you
look
guys a
too
free
good.
one, and you guys can
Yeah.
stay.
You look too good. We're gonna give you this slot. We know we're not worthy, but you guys are amazing.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what happened. So that's gonna do it for the Chinese Division 2. Not the ending we expected. Maybe the ending we deserved. I don't know.
Oh man.
It's a very Dota ending, though. I guess it's a very Dota
Like
ending.
Division 2 is just so much more fun than Division 1. Like everything that happens here, it's like ridiculous, literally. Like the quality of Dota obviously isn't nearly as good, but everything around it is just much nicer, much more fun at least.
Yeah. I'm just disappointed we don't get listen-ins. I wanted to listen in on Team Cloud after Game 1, and then I wanted to listen in on Team Cloud after Game 2 to find out what they're saying.
I want to listen in to Team Cloud right now, after they've been disqualified or relegated from Division 2.
It's probably quiet. I don't think anybody is around these days. After you rage quit your second game to stay in Division 2, I think everybody has gone out for the
The
afternoon.
chairs are just there next to the PCs. Everyone is like on their own way already.
The swing in the background, just swinging with no one on it.
Yeah.
Sad times. But they forfeited. They forfeited again. Huge dub for Meteor, who were almost unceremoniously dumped out of Div 2.
I've never heard of a team disconnecting from a game and winning it that way, because they sort of won, right? Like by disconnecting, they won. They've still in the Division 2.
Yes, exactly. They've won. In a way, they do get to stay. They don't have to play through those closed qualifiers, which are very scary indeed. And that's gonna just about do it. It's so our bottom 2 teams at the end of Division 2 are going to be Team Mystique and Team Cloud via fortification. Team Meteor, despite not winning a single game in the tiebreakers, stay in Division 2. Poke They managed to get the 2 wins, so we'll be taking the 5th slot and staying in Division 2 as well. And then, of course, as we found out yesterday, YBB and Vici Gaming will be the teams promoted up to Division 1, which means that Outsiders and LBZS are the teams which are also staying in Division 2. And that's going to just about do it for us. It's been a wild season. It's been an ending maybe befitting for the season, I don't know, but it's fun.
Yeah.
We had a great time, and thank you to everybody who's kind of coming in, the casters, Danog, John. We had who are the other two? Mike, that guy. Who's that guy?
And like
Aiden?
A-Rez?
Hades.
Hades.
Hades?
That guy.
Yeah.
He's great.
I think it was Hades, yeah.
Yeah, that must have been him. He's a play-by-play. Yeah, thank you to those guys. Thank you to PGL and the production crew who have made this show smooth and silky. It's been great. I guess thank you to you two and the other panelists we've had for doing a, I guess, slightly above mediocre job. So appreciate you guys for that. And thank you guys for watching, even though you didn't do anything except consume free content. But I guess we still need you, so thanks. And thanks to me for being the best talent.
Thank you, Nomad, for truly being the best talent. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know what, Lizard? You're welcome.
Thank you. We'd be nothing without you.
You're welcome. That's going to just about do it. Oh, and of course, Perfect World as well for being the whole TO for Division 2 and for the China region in general. So yeah, that's going to just about do it from us. We will see you next season for more China action, but for now, go and enjoy the major. That starts very soon, so get hyped for the new patch, and we'll see you next season.
We'll see you guys in the Twitch chat.